Good evening. Wow, okay, we are live and we had already over 400 people in the waiting room alone. So we'll give everyone a second to get in, get comfortable. People are going to be trickling over the next couple of minutes. Feel free to let us know where you are joining from in the chat. I'm just going to get my screen and everything set up. And then we will be good to get started. London. So someone's already said that doesn't sound like their sound's working. So it sounds like that's isolated to you because people just are now saying where they're joining from. So you can obviously hear me, so that's good. So feel free to, if your sound's not working, leave and rejoin, and that should make it work. Right, let's get my screen up so you can see what I'm looking at. We'll go through a bit of housekeeping because this is going to be a very, very big event. Hello from Jamie, Stephen, Lisa, Richard. Nice to see you all engaging. Right, let's get this up. Let's get this live. Wonderful. Right. That's not the right screen. Come on. There we go. Share. Right. Let me bring up the chat. Right. First person to tell me that they can see me, hear me, and see my screen gets brownie points. Yes, Colin, thank you very much. Dee, Paul, Harry, I appreciate you as well. Right, let's go through a little bit of housekeeping. I'm just going to send the link for everyone to join for the last time, just in case they're having any trouble. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a packed event. How many people are we at so far? Let me bring up the participants. We are already at 519 people on Zoom and another 600 people on Teams as well. So we've had to host this across two platforms for those of you who aren't in the WhatsApp group. The reason for that being that we are capped at 1,000 attendees for Zoom for the membership tier that we have. So we're now having to host this across two platforms because we had over 3,000, I think it was like 3,300 people in the end who registered for this, which is absolutely remarkable. So welcome in everyone. I'm so excited. And the reason I'm so excited is because this is the first event of 2026 that I have done. I thought about doing one right at the beginning of the year, but I wanted to wait. And the reason being is I wanted to share this and I wanted to run this event for the people who didn't just want to they didn't just think that they wanted to get started at the beginning of the year because of, the whole new year, new me, but were actually even now ready and willing and wanting to start. And because it's more likely you guys are going to be the ones who actually take action on this. And that's really, really important. So welcome in. Like I said, it's a busy event. So in a minute, when I'm going through the actual content that you can see on the screen in front of you, I'll be pausing the chat just so you can make sure that you're getting the content that you signed up to get. Okay, so you can focus on that rather than whatever's going on in the chat because there's a lot of people here. And also obviously there's going to be a lot of questions. So please do post your questions in the Q&A. That will be live throughout the whole time. I don't know, some people can often see their own questions and not other people's. I don't know why that is. Just post your questions in there. I'll go through that at the end and go through the ones that are most frequently asked to make sure that I'm getting to, the ones that are going to help the most people possible. So that's why I'm going to be doing that. Okay. A couple of people saying they can't hear me. Can anyone else actually hear me? If you can answer that question, then I know you can. Yeah, all good. Most people can hear me. So I'm just going to post a message in the chat. If you can't hear, leave and rejoin. There you go. Cool. Yeah. Team can hear me as well. So that's all good. That's probably one of the most important parts, other than you guys, obviously. Right. So it's amazing to have so many people, so many of you here. Like I said, it's a huge event. This is the biggest event we have ever run. So I know I appreciate Simon. This is probably going to run the course of the Traitors episode, so you're going to have to watch it on catch up. We're not going to be recording this because it's going to be messing with the bandwidth. We're already having trouble with some people not hearing us. So if we try and do that, then it's going to mess it all up. So this is your one and only chance to watch this. So welcome in. Let's get started. I am buzzing for this. If you can't already tell, I know I've said it a lot, but I am really genuinely excited, and you should be excited too, because this is the first day of your journey towards financial peace of mind and a more comfortable and earlier retirement, right? If you want it to be, of course, right? If you take action on what I'm going to teach you and tell you to do today, then it will be the first day of that journey. If not, then things will just stay the same, right? It kind of goes without saying, but the circumstances that you weren't happy about, which led you to want to join this event in the first place, will not improve if you do nothing. So please do take some kind of action off of the back of this. And I'm going to be giving you the opportunity to equip yourself with all of the information, tools, knowledge, and help you need to actually make that happen so you are in the right place. In fact, I added this in last minute, just kind of ad lib. I wanted to share this because I wanted to show you just how close you could be to having the financial security, control, and peace of mind, probably, that you're looking for with your finances and your future finances. So this is James's story, okay? So James attended one of the last events we ran back in July 2024, so a while back now. James was 46, right? He had no retirement plan, no idea how to build one, and he thought, in his words, that he was destined to retire into poverty. He watched a similar event to the one you're watching right now that I ran, claimed the same gift that you're all going to have the opportunity to claim, and then he decided actually he wanted to just work directly with me to speed up the process. The next day, he had this brief moment of thinking, have I actually done the right thing here, right? And he sent this message to the community, which is absolutely fair enough. Fortunately, and what was really nice for me to see is that he was met with just a bunch of replies that went on even longer than this, letting him know from other people in the program just how much it was going to change his life because it had changed their lives to a similar or greater extent. And within 6 weeks of attending that event, so 6 weeks from today, this could be you, right? 6 weeks after joining that event, this 46-year-old who thought he was destined to retire into poverty at 67, if he was lucky, had a money management system, which was making him £600 a month better off, a 90% of his debt eliminated, a 3-month emergency fund in place, fully funded, and an investment plan and strategy that was going to enable him to retire at 61 with enough money to sustain the lifestyle he actually wants. So from thinking he was going to retire into poverty at maybe 67 to knowing he'll be able to retire by at least 61 with enough. Think about the difference, what difference that makes to your headspace, right? It is really that game changing. And I just wanted to show you quickly what he had to say about it. So you can hear from someone other than me about just how impactful this process is. And so you can hear from someone who's actually been sat where you are sitting right now.
When you joined, as many people are, right, you were skeptical. And I, as I said to you, right, I encourage people to be skeptical because there's some crazy people on the internet that will try and steal money from people. Yeah, unfortunately, I shouldn't laugh, it's terrible. But and when you joined, you had a moment of like, oh, have I done the right thing? Is this all legit? Like, is this going to work out? So I suppose I wanted to ask that question for you specifically. What would you say to anyone who's maybe like having those thoughts and wonders if this is legit and that kind of thing, like, and is on the fence, but maybe doesn't want to take that leap because they're worried about that kind of risk?
Well, I can only say from my end, it is 100% legitimate. And like you say, when I signed up, but in all honesty, Joe, when I signed up, I pretty much wiped out the one bit of contingency I had, and as I've been telling my girlfriend and my friend and what have you, honestly, I already feel like it's the best money I've ever spent.
Love it. So it was worth it then?
Really worth it.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear it.
So as you know, I'm going to be teaching you today how to secure your current and future finances, how to build wealth on autopilot and retire ASAP to do what you want with your life. And using the system that I put in place for James and now over 320 other people over the last 3 years, this is all possible with just 15 minutes of your time every week. And no investing experience is required to do this, okay? So let's test who's paying attention. Drop a yes in the chat if you want to learn how this system works. Yes, Ray, Leon, okay, I can't keep up now. Colin, Fiona, I think. Anna, Trudy, Stephen, Dan, Faye. Yes, okay, you're all paying attention. Capital locks, I love it. All right, cool. Now, like I said, I'm going to be diving in right now, but just to remind you, and I did let the guys in the WhatsApp group know about this, but this might be news for you. There is going to be a gift for a select few of you who watch until the end. Sam, feel free to leave if you don't want to wait. But there is going to be a gift for the select few of you who stay until the end, which is now worth £600. We've had more registrations than ever before for any event that we've run. So I've increased this from £300 to £600 to celebrate that fact by adding more value to that gift. And also, a limited number of you will be offered an exclusive opportunity as well, which is worth £2,000. So do stay with us. Like, if you are serious about drastically improving your finances and your future wealth potential, you don't want to miss this opportunity at the end of this. So let's dive in. In this webinar, I'm going to be teaching you how to actually truly take control of your finances, right? I'm going to show you the tools, the processes, and systems that will enable you to save and invest more, become debt-free faster, and how to set yourself up for a far more comfortable and earlier retirement than you ever thought possible. But you might be thinking, okay, that's great, but who are you and why are you teaching us this? Like, it's a really fair question, actually. So let me answer that, right? On the who am I question. On that, simply put, I am a husband and a father who really just wanted more for me and my family. And about 6 years ago now, decided enough was enough. I needed to do what I could to secure our finances, pay off the debt that we had, stop it spiraling, and figure out how to build some kind of wealth for our future. And especially when our daughter was on the way, right? For my daughter's future. So I just began documenting my journey and my findings and my learnings along the way on social media. That interest became a hobby. The hobby became just an absolute obsession as it improved our lives and made us wealthier and enabled us to do all these amazing things. And that obsession has now become a business, which now has over 150 odd thousand followers across multiple platforms, all of which you can see there and are ID verified, which I now use to try and transform other people's lives, right? At the point of presenting this to you, we've had over 330 people come through my program, and 100% of them are now better off, more financially secure, and set up for a more comfortable and earlier retirement than they thought was possible for them before completing it. It doesn't get any more straightforward than that. So why am I teaching you how to secure your own finances and build a financially secure future? The answer to that is really simple as well. It's because I feel like I've been where many of you are, right? With the same, maybe not the same exact financial circumstances, but definitely the same financial concerns, headspace, stresses, and anxieties that you probably have. And the same kind of like goals and desires for your future and also your family's financial security. But like you, not having a clue about what to do, where to begin, or just how to get yourself out of the hole that you feel like you're probably starting from. Now, I'm glad to say, obviously, I figured it out, right? I escaped my 9 to 5 at the age of 32 through doing this. I'm on track to hit millionaire status at 37, 2 years' time, probably less than that based on current trajectory. My wife has fully retired at the age of 33, and we will both reach financial independence and be completely work optional at the age of 40. Okay. And the thing is I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I'm nothing extraordinary. I didn't come from money, very humble beginnings, right? So I know for a fact that all of you, if you follow this through for long enough, can drastically improve your current circumstances and your future prospects by just taking action on what I'm going to be teaching you today. I suppose in a nutshell, I'm stood here teaching you this system today because this is everything that I wish I had at the start of my own journey, right? Talking of starting, that's another really good question, actually. Where the hell do you actually start? Well, unfortunately, this is where probably 99% of people fail. And that's because they just never actually get started at all. Because often it's because they're stuck, right? And this was my exact issue. So tell me if any of this sounds familiar to you. Okay, so I knew I needed to do something. So I was following different social media accounts and watching YouTube videos on money and investing every day, literally on the way to work, listening to podcasts on my lunch break, watching YouTube videos, so on and so forth. And all I got from this was just a bombardment of information every day, just getting like 20 plus different and often like conflicting opinions on what I should be doing with my money and what you should be doing with your money, which ultimately means you do nothing because you're scared of doing the wrong thing for you and it's sending you further behind than you already are. right? It's analysis paralysis. I can see a lot of people saying, "Yeah, sounds familiar." All of those, haha, sounds familiar. Yeah, Quentin, I get it. And look, like I'm not glad that you feel that way because I know it sucks, right? It's not a nice position to be in, to feel like you don't really know what to do because you've never been shown the way. But I am glad that you can relate, because it means you're in the right place for starters, and also it means and it shows that like you've got an opportunity to end that cycle now, to end that feeling and escape that grind. Okay, so and that's really, really important. I think what I realized was the magic pill or formula I was looking for that would miraculously fix my specific problems and show me what I needed to do just never fell into my lap. And luckily I realized early on that this kind of magic formula that I was looking for, it really simply just didn't exist, right? There were loads of little bits and pieces out there, but no kind of cohesive strategy. And I knew then that I needed to create it for myself. But doing so took me 2 years, 16 books, over 180 hours of YouTube videos, 122 podcast episodes, and £7,000 in courses and mentors for me to be able to understand the rules, processes, and systems I was going to implement, the different investing strategies I could take advantage of, and also just to start building the tools that I needed to get me to a certain point and also then track my progress, right? And that's the point here, is like that was just to be able to get started, right? Everything you can see on the screen there. It's taken another 7 years of trial and error, blood, sweat, and literally tears and non-stop application to get this system and these tools to where they are today. And that's what I really want to emphasize here, is like, this isn't something that I did once many years ago that might not be relevant now. Okay. And I didn't come from money, far from it. In fact, if you know anything about me and followed me for long enough, I've never worked at some kind of like six-figure, money management institution with a job doing something that makes me like completely out of touch, like most financial influencers out there. This is the stuff I'm teaching you today. This is the stuff that worked for me, still works for me now, and is also working for the hundreds of other people who are applying this system as we speak. Okay. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm in the trenches with you all now. I'm still implementing this stuff and still using and improving this system and these tools that I'm teaching you tonight so that you can continue to benefit from them. I've taken the process I ended up following, eliminated the guesswork, the costly mistakes, and the setbacks that I had to endure along the way, and combined this with my 9 years of knowledge and now experience applying this with over 300 other students. And I've created a simple, structured system that you can take advantage of today on day one of your journey, right? If someone gave me that opportunity at the beginning, knowing what I've been through to get here, I'd bite their hand off. That's if you take action today, right? So now, before I tell you exactly how this works, I want you to know what kind of results you can expect to get when you implement it, just so you know it's going to actually be worth your time listening to this. Okay, so these on the screen here are the average results, the averages, not the outliers or the extremes, just the averages, the average results of those who've implemented the system themselves. On average, they are saving an extra £1,700 a month. They are £1,700 a month better off than they were before completing the program. They are avoiding £23,000 in interest on their debts. They are becoming debt-free 10 years faster on average. They are set to retire 18 years earlier on average. And the big one that still blows my mind to this day, per person on average, they are saving £468,000 in investing and advisor fees by using this system and this process instead of a traditional advisor and brokerage platform, which charge a combined 1.5% fee on average. Some of them are much higher. So actually, that's a conservative figure. And you can see, therefore, when you consider how many years worth of your expenses that probably amounts to, you can see why the results we're getting in terms of how much earlier people are able to retire. You can see kind of where that's coming from, right? Ultimately, this system puts more money in your pocket today and in the future. And the crazy thing is like all of these people started from similar circumstances to you and I. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, I've been where many of you are. And if I haven't, then I've worked with someone who is in a similar circumstance or was in a similar set of circumstances to you. And this system has made all of those people better off than they were previously. those on a low income but unsure how to build, any kind of wealth, those on a good income but feeling like they had nothing to show for it in terms of financial success and well-being and confidence in their future, those who feel stuck in a cycle of debts with no idea how to escape them, and those who have no plan for their future, wanting an alternative to the prospect of working until they are 70 or older, right? One of the most scary statistics I've been made aware of recently is that the fastest growing age group in the UK workforce right now is those aged 65 to 75, because people are getting to that point, realizing they don't have enough to sustain their lifestyle and they're having to go back into the workforce. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for anyone who is watching this. So whether the people that I've worked with, whether they are in their 20s or their 60s, and that's literally the actual age range is 22 to 67 at the moment, all of them are now set to be able to retire earlier than they thought they could or would, and with more income than they thought they would have. And on that final point about facing the prospect of working until you are 70 or older, that is actually what initially kickstarted my whole journey, right? So I received a letter from my workplace pension provider when I was 24 telling me that I would have to work until I was 82, right? If I wanted, and that was just to get a modest 20K a year income in retirement. Now, obviously, when I saw that, I thought what any normal person would think, really. What the hell? How is this possible? I think I saw a lot more than that. So I needed to speak to an expert because I wasn't one at the time. So I had a chat with the pension advisor at work, and what he told me really just confirmed that I had no chance of retiring early or having the life and future I wanted if I just blindly followed the path that the system wanted me to follow, right? Especially if I depended at all on advisors to help me or the government to support me. And this, sadly, is what 99% of people are doing, through no fault of your own, by the way, simply because we are not educated on how to properly manage our finances, avoid bad debt or manage it, and how to plan for retirement. I mean, at the very least, they could teach us how to get the most out of these pensions that we were all given when we joined the workforce, right? But they don't even do that. And it is absolutely criminal, if you ask me. I think it's largely intentional, but that's a conversation for another day before I start ranting. Unfortunately, though, the bottom line is this: the knowledge, the structure, and the tools you need to achieve your full financial potential are not readily available for free. And because of this, most people just make a mess of their finances, get stuck working into later life full of anxiety and just a fear of retiring into poverty or a small financial blip leading to financial hardship. Now, the solution offered to me by the advisor at work was, well, just save more. He wanted me to work up to a 20% workplace pension contribution within the next 5 years, which at the time for me was just impossible, right? I was making 24K a year. This is back in 2014, when I was about 2 years out of uni. I was renting a flat with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife. We wanted to do all the things that a young couple want to do, right? We wanted to save for a house, get engaged, start a family, all the kind of things, as you probably most of you know, are really bloody expensive, right? Life was not getting any cheaper for me anytime soon. So how the hell was I supposed to sacrifice 20% of my salary and find all this money to save? As I saw it, I had two options, and this will come up for you as well later. So option one for me, it's going to be similar for you, right? Option one is I could keep doing what I was doing, bury my head in the sand, hope for the best, keep living paycheck to paycheck, accruing more and more debt for the things society told me I needed, whilst I tried to cobble together the money for a house and a family, only to retire when I was 82, right? And life expectancy for males in the UK right now, if anyone knows, is 79. So it wasn't looking too cheerful for me. That was option one. It doesn't sound very good, does it? Option two, I could invest my time and the money I had into learning how to manage and invest my money the right way, with the goal of just escaping my 9 to 5 as soon as possible and setting myself up to retire anytime before 82, right? That was my initial goal. I just don't want that. I just want anything before that. The outcome from betting on myself and taking that leap and taking option two is I've now wiped 42 years off of my retirement age based on what the pension providers told me I was going to have. I've escaped my 9 to 5 at the age of 32, and the comparatively small amount I invested to learn how to do this has now paid for itself hundreds of times over already and will continue to do so. And man, am I glad I invested in myself when I had the chance to do so, because now I have control of my time, my money, my future. I've got certainty, clarity, and above all, and I think it's something that's really hard to put a price on, is just confidence about my future and where I'm actually headed in life and what my financial future looks like. Because so few people have that, and I didn't have that. And having it now makes me realize just how valuable that is. And the thing is this is exactly what you will have when you implement this system that I'm just about to teach you. All you need is an income and the desire for a better future. And I know that because that is all Naomi had when she found me. She thought she was on top of things. And then she realized after several years that she really wasn't. She ended up feeling just lost with her finances and the lack of plans that she had, but now feels empowered, knowing that she has a plan in place to be work optional at 53 on her passive income. That's 14 years earlier than she ever thought possible by following the system I'm about to show you. And here's what she had to say about getting her plan in place. And I suppose, really, what made you want to join the program in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, I always considered myself fairly good at managing my finances and kind of doing everything that everyone tells you to do. So I was contributing to my pension, I was contributing to my ISA, but I had no real concept of how that was going to impact my retirement. And I think at the beginning of 2025, I would say a bit lost. You know, I'm 42. I don't want to be working until I'm 67. I ideally thought in my head 50, but I genuinely had no idea if that was a pipe dream, if that was achievable. So, yeah, I think I also, you know, had no concept about this, you know, FI number and, you know, how you can actually use maths to figure out how you can retire early or what you need in order to retire and live out the rest of your life happily.
So where are you now with those goals after having completed the process?
Well, we've figured out that I can retire, assuming all the assumptions work out, at the latest 53. So that's great news.
How do you feel about your finances now, maybe versus where you're at before?
Well, I'm a bit obsessed with bringing that number down to 50. So there's that, but then also just more confident, more in control, just more clarity on where I'm going and almost, you know, where my monthly pay packet is going and why it's going into these different pots. So yeah, it's definitely given me purpose in terms of my finance. And like I said, for me, it was a very quick process to kind of get to the end goal, which was great.
Yeah. And what would you say to anyone who's maybe considering joining, maybe is on the fence and just maybe hasn't taken the leap yet?
Oh my God, I wish I'd done it earlier.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times. There's no one yet that I've met that wishes they'd waited a little bit longer to get started. Once you realize what your potential is, it's amazing how quickly it kind of gamifies the process and how quickly you get in competition with yourself to just improve your own circumstances. And it only benefits you. It's a really amazing thing. The bottom line is, though, is that everyone who implements this process will benefit from it, right? Whether you are young, old, low income, high income, no debt versus lots of debt, you will be better off, more financially secure, and retire years earlier than you otherwise would have, with confidence in your future and hundreds of thousands of pounds more in the investment accounts that you maybe don't even have yet, right? Or that simply just aren't working as hard as they could be right now. So who is this training for? If you want a solid plan in place for your current and future finances, if you want to learn how to manage and grow your money effectively, if you want to make sure the money you make is going to good use and working as hard, if not harder than you work for it, if you want to become debt-free faster than you ever thought possible, if you want to invest for your family's future as well as your own, if you want to retire when you choose rather than when the government tells you can, and preferably sooner rather than later, right? And if you just want to be in control of your life and your future, if we cut all the other BS and put it aside, right? If you just want to be in control of your finances and your financial future, then this training is for you. If you're not interested in those things, or you're looking for some kind of get rich quick scheme, then you come to the wrong event. So do feel free to check out now. But if you want an actionable guide, an actionable guide that you can use to achieve all of this yourself, then drop a yes in the chat now. Let's see who's still paying attention for the final time. Cheryl, Kelly, Gigi, Emma. Yes, I can see you're all still here. This is amazing. And then I'm going to jump right in. And I'm getting started right now. And I appreciate, there's been a build up to this, but I wanted you to know just what lays in front of you and how impactful it is. Because if I had just skipped all of that, it wouldn't really be very clear. So I appreciate your attention and your engagement. And I'm just about to pause the chat and dive right in. Now, grab a pen and paper, because what I am going to run through here is the financial freedom framework. This is the unique step-by-step system that eliminates the guesswork from money management and investing and helps you build wealth on autopilot. And when I say unique, I mean that because this is a system, a series of tools and a process that I have built myself from the ground up over the last 9 years. This isn't something that you can get offline or ask ChatGPT to do. And I know because I've tried to get him to replace some of my work and he can't do it. So this really, really is a unique system. So pens at the ready. I'm getting into it. Phase 1. This is the baseline phase. Okay, this is phase 1 of 5. The baseline phase is where we determine your current state. And this is absolutely essential. It's the piece that everyone wants to skip. And it's the reason why most people fall on their faces when it comes to their finances. After all, how will you know how to get to where you want to be if you don't already know where you stand right now? You need a point A and a point B in order to map the route between those 2 points. So this is all about facing the uncomfortable truths and facing the reality of your circumstances so that we know what to change and improve to get you to where you want to be and to truly unlock your potential. It's absolutely essential. We're also going to clarify and refine the goals you have to the critical few that will actually move the needle for you. There is no point in spreading yourself so thin that you're not making any progress with any one thing very quickly. Makes you feel very disheartened. So we're going to focus on the things that are actually going to move the needle for you the most in the shortest space of time. We're going to cut out the waste, if there is any, in your current spending habits and ensure that you are prioritizing the costs and expenses and outgoings and things you do each month that provide you and your family with not only like a roof over your head and food in the fridge, but also experiences and happiness and fulfillment. That is the key element of this. It is not about living on rice and beans just so that you can retire a few years earlier. That is not what this is about. This is about balancing so you can ensure that you are living well today whilst ensuring that you can continue to live well for the rest of your days, but without having to work to do that. That's what this allows you to do. And finally, in this phase, we're going to map out the plan for achieving your short and medium-term goals. And by that, I mean, becoming debt-free, establishing an emergency fund, saving a deposit for a house. So these can vary quite drastically, but those are kind of the 3 most common. Now, the order in which you do those things depends entirely on your specific circumstances and the circumstances surrounding those elements, right? Such as maybe debts or your savings, what you need, interest rates, all of this kind of stuff. Doing those things in the wrong order, depending on those variables, could cost you a hell of a lot more than doing it in the right order. And that's just going to delay your progress. So you need to make sure you build out the most financially efficient and cost-effective route. Really important. The gift I have for you will obviously help you with that as well. Okay. One thing I want to make really clear here is how critical this phase is, if I haven't already, especially the part around understanding your current state. And I joke, but I really am serious about that, right? Because you need to know what, and I mean that you need to know what your monthly expenses are today for 2 distinct reasons. Firstly, so you know what free cash flow you have, so the difference between your outgoings and your income. So what free cash flow you have to achieve your short-term goals, i.e. debt elimination, for example. And secondly, so that you can accurately estimate what your desired lifestyle is going to cost when you are financially free. Okay, now we call this number specifically your FI number, or financial independence number, FI, okay? We have a really simple, structured method, as I alluded to, of ensuring that this is as painless and as accurate as possible to do when you work through the process, when I work through the process with the students in the academy. And it's all using the same tool that I'm going to show you in just a second, but with some additional tabs that you won't see, right? As you can appreciate, they've paid good money to have this broken down in fine detail and to have it made just as simple and as easy to accurately calculate as possible. And it kind of goes without saying, right? It helps someone like myself who's done this for themselves and 300 other people to help you ensure that it's not only accurate, but actually optimized to the nth degree. And that's what they're getting really, right? They are hitting the ground running, immediately collecting all the low hanging fruit that they often didn't even know was available to them until I just handed it to them on a plate and helped them know what buttons to click. And eliminating the guesswork, the costly mistakes, the uncertainty, the fear, and the delays that most people face when they try to do this stuff alone. Now, you need to make note. To get a rough idea of your FI number, what you need to do is multiply your monthly expenses today by 12 to get your yearly expenses, and then multiply that number by 25 to get your financial independence number, just like you see with the example on the slide there. Now that, as I mentioned, clearly is a rough estimate of the amount of money you need saved or invested to never have to work again. The reason for that, the reason that works is because the drawdown you take from it covers your expenses and will continue to grow with exposure to the right passive investments, if you know how to choose them, at a rate that is higher than that which you are making withdrawals, okay, to ensure that you never run out. Now, this principle is known as the 4% rule, or the SWR, which is the safe withdrawal rate. This is a strategy, a system that was determined from the Trinity studies conducted by Harvard, which I've studied at length. It's an overarching principle which I have then taken and built a system, a tool, and a step-by-step process around, okay, so that you can work out how to plug it into your specific circumstances, also that I can help you plug it into your specific circumstances. Again, the Academy videos would walk you through my proprietary process to make sure the figure you get is accurate. Then I'd show you how to iterate on this calculation as your circumstances change so that it stays accurate, right? This means what it does is it allows you to make small adjustments over time that take 10, 15 minutes, rather than not looking at your numbers for 5 years and then having to start from scratch and spending hours on it again because nothing makes sense anymore, right? So we help you avoid all of that pain and just do small incremental changes over time. The videos also walk you through how to run withdrawal illustrations and risk assessments to see how long your specific FI number, your specific pot of money would last in different market conditions, like real world market conditions historically. And again, this is using my proprietary retirement forecasting and planning tools as well. Now, the key outcome of phase one, after doing everything that we just mentioned there, is clarity, showing you exactly where you stand like today financially, and giving you crystal clear goals that you are 110% committed to achieving. Just as you heard from Naomi, right? Clarity and confidence is what this gives you. Now, that's phase one. Phase 2 of 5 is the push phase. Now, this is where we organize your financial life and put you back in control. Okay, you're going to learn here how to implement a zero-based money management system that gives you complete visibility and control over your finances with just 20 to 30 minutes of your time per month, and also helps you build wealth on autopilot because it is just a rinse and repeat system. I help you build it in the first instance. Beyond that point, it's then a rinse and repeat that you do yourself, and it does not take very long and builds wealth on autopilot. You'll also set up the automated tracking of your assets, liabilities, net worth, and begin executing on your short and medium-term goals. Automation is key. Cutting out the work from this is key because nobody wants to be doing this on a Saturday night, let's face it, right? So we remove all of that, automate the processes, and just make it work for you in the background. It is that easy. In parallel, you're also going to build out the investment plan and strategy that you are going to implement to achieve your retirement goals. And I've got more on this later. Now, this is the good part. Right, you can see at the bottom of this slide that this phase is where we set up your pillars of personal finance, which I want to tell you about now. You see, most people and I've looked at the other people who do this and the events that they run, they don't mention this stuff. They leave this out. But the problem with that is that every good financial roadmap or plan needs to cover all three of these pillars. Otherwise, it will fall apart sooner or later. Okay, so I want to run through these with you. Those three pillars sound simple at first glance, but let me explain. Those three pillars are tracking your money, saving your money, and investing your money. Now, everything I ever teach you about money will come back to one of these three pillars, which is why I wanted to go over these today. Pillar number one, tracking your income is basically, it's all about tracking your income, okay? It's about tracking your income versus your outgoings, which is all taken care of in this monthly balance sheet here. You put in your planned expenses and your income, and you track your actual spend against that plan to make sure you are staying on track. There is no point in setting a plan if you're not going to track your spending against that plan, and there is no point in tracking your spending against nothing, right? People are often doing one or the other, but they're not getting, therefore, the feedback of data they need to make improvements and, you know, changes and decisions going forward. So they're completely missing out and wasting their time. And the annoying thing is it's only an extra few minutes to do both of these versus just one. And it gives you so much power and information. It takes a maximum, and I mean a maximum of about 30 minutes per month, but it gives you complete awareness and control over what's going on with your money. And that's really important when you consider that not having visibility and therefore control is literally the root cause of people's financial problems and the gateway to why most people end up in debt. Okay, so because they don't understand the impact of the decisions they're making. And by doing this, you understand the impact, and therefore you make better decisions. You make less bad decisions and more good decisions. It's literally that simple, but without a tool and a process and a system, people just can't do it. You're also going to track your savings and investments here, your home equity and assets here, your debts in this tab, and all of that information feeds into this final tab, which automatically calculates your net worth for you. Now, this is powerful because it's like having a monthly report on the health status of your finances, which is something you are really missing out on if you don't have it, because it helps you see the long-term impact of your short-term financial decisions over time. And what that does is it encourages you, just by visual trickery, to make decisions that will push this number up rather than down. And that's only going to make you wealthier over time. Okay. Now, I want to emphasize here that just the simple act of tracking your monthly spending in that first tab that I showed you alone will do wonders for your financial habits, because in the first instance, it will just make you more aware of how you actually spend your money. And by doing this, you will be able to immediately pinpoint any bad spending habits that you have and eliminate them, right? After all, you can't change a bad habit if you don't know you have one. Now, the second pillar is all about saving money. Okay. Now, saving money is a term I use lightly because you cannot save your way to wealth. You've probably heard people say that before. And there are also two ways to interpret saving money. First of all, there's reducing expenses by cutting waste from your costs, right? So saving money on your outgoings. And then there's the actual act of saving money in a savings account. So two different elements of this second pillar here. Starting with the first element. So saving money on your outgoings, reducing your outgoings. Now, it's a zero-sum game. It's worth doing, but it's kind of pointless doing this to death, because you can only cut your expenses so much before all you are left with is your essential bills, a roof over your head, and a very, very miserable life, right? So it's worth doing to a point, but it's not worth doing to a certain extent. It's a worthwhile exercise because everyone has some waste and some poor habits they can cut out instantly, and actually not even would they not, suffer from it, they'd actually benefit from it. Most people, every single person that I've gone through this exercise with, when we free up money and cut out the waste, they end up with more money to do the things that they've often wondered why they don't have the money to do, right? So they're suddenly like, oh, I can actually, we can actually go out for dinner now. We can actually take our kids out on the weekend and things like that. So it is really that simple. But the second element is the saving money in a savings account. And again, you cannot save your way to wealth because savings accounts have never kept up with inflation. So the more money you put in savings, the more your money is just eroding over time. And to that point, there are very few justifications for using a savings account versus investing responsibly for the long term. Okay. A couple of reasons, and there are only a few, a couple of reasons why you would use a savings account instead of long-term investments would be for an emergency fund, a down payment or deposit for a house, and savings maybe for like a wedding, right? Something like that. Anything you want in the next kind of like 3 to 5 years, you don't want that money invested, you want quick liquid access, right? In those examples, just make full use of the best high yield savings accounts you can find to keep inflation at bay. Otherwise, your money is devaluing at a rate of about 4 or 5% on average right now. And it's wild to me how many people come along to me after these events and they say, they show me accounts with thousands, 10, sometimes 100K plus from like, inheritance or divorce settlements and things like that. And it's sat in an account earning sometimes nothing or maybe like 0.5%. We can immediately get that earning, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6% plus without even investing it. And just because we've got an ear to the ground of the best offers on the market, depending on how much they have. So that's pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is investing. This is the sexy bit. This is the bit that everyone wants to jump ahead to and then ends up falling on their face because they did it, right? Now, investing is the most powerful part of all of this. It goes without saying. But do not contemplate putting even a penny into the stock market or any other asset until you have a solid grip of your monthly finances with a good money management system in place, debt freedom, and an emergency fund. And I say that because it's just essential, okay? You need the money management system so that you know how much you are able to invest and have maximized this figure as much as possible every single month. There is no point in saying, I'm going to invest 200, 300, 500, whatever, X £100 per month. Okay, then what? What's that? What are you working towards? How do you know when you got enough? What if that isn't enough to get to actually what you need and you haven't worked that out? Right? What if you could do more that month? What actually if you can't afford to do that much in a certain month and then you overstretch yourself and end up going into debt? You can see how it's not optimal, right? Whereas if you've actually worked out the difference between your income and your outgoings and you've worked out the gap between those two things and worked out exactly in that month based on that month's circumstances how much you can afford to invest, and you do all of that because you've got all of your needs covered, you can see how that's way more optimal, right? Because some months is going to be more, some months is going to be less, and that system is going to allow you to see that. So you need a money management system so you know how much you are actually able to invest each month and have maximized that figure as much as possible. You need debt freedom because there is no point in investing for a potential 9% yearly ROI in the markets over the long term when you are paying 29% interest on your credit card debt. That math ain't mathing. You need to get your credit card debt gone first. And finally, you need an emergency fund so that you are never put in a position where you need to sell off even just part or maybe even all of your portfolio because of an unexpected emergency. Because doing so will put your compounding in reverse and it will just throw you off course from achieving your goals for a really, really long time. Anyone, and I want to be clear here, anyone who tells you otherwise, anyone who tells you that you should be investing in any shape or form before having these things in place does not have your best interests at heart, and it's going to benefit them, you getting started, more than it will you, okay? So once you have these pillars in place, then you can determine your investing strategy, and this will depend on your goals, your risk tolerance, and your time horizon. And this is exactly why everyone I work with one-on-one runs through this entire process. We get their pillars of personal finance in place, and then they get an investment plan and strategy that is built and tailored to them and their circumstances, along with the education they need to give them the confidence they need to actually implement that investing plan and strategy, because there is no one size fits all when it comes to investing. So bottom line is, you need to know how to build a portfolio and also select a buying strategy for your portfolio that is suitable for you. If you are unsure on how to do that, I'm going to give you the opportunity to equip yourself with that knowledge later with your gift. For now, I want you to ask yourself, do you have money sat in an account right now, maybe not invested, right, earning naff all interest because you don't know how to invest it in line with your goals, or are scared that you're going to do the wrong thing with it and maybe lose money, or money you don't need right now that could be put to use. And see, absolutely, yes, already people saying, how about this? Do you have investments right now that just aren't working as hard as you'd like, but you're unsure of the best alternatives that are low maintenance and also won't keep you up at night? It's all good and well buying that cryptocurrency or that random stock that your mate down the pub said to buy, but if that's keeping you up in cold sweats, it's not a strategy that's going to work for you, right? Not something you're going to stick to. And if you haven't already, do answer this in the chat. Right, listen, do you think you would waste less money each month if you had a solid investment plan tied to a specific goal, which gave you clarity over how much you actually needed to invest at the start of each month? Definitely. Yes, definitely. It sounds really obvious, right? Some people are probably going, well, duh. But this is the game changer. Once you realize what your wealth potential is with the money you already have, suddenly you are very keen to make that happen and find more money to put into this phenomenon, right? It really, really is that simple. Because the thing is, guys, is right, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then you are falling behind. Because that money that you are not investing or that isn't invested optimally is money that we could be using to buy back your time in the future. The bottom line is if you have no plan or even just kind of a plan and you're not investing optimally, then your money is devaluing at an alarming rate and your freedom is slipping further and further away. So just think about that for a second and do just, like I said, take the appropriate action. So those are the pillars covered. I hope you appreciate me kind of going through those. The outcome for phase 2 is visibility and control, giving you an understanding of how you are going to turn your situation around and achieve your goals, as well as exactly how long it will take. And this is the game changer, being able to look forward on your future with certainty and clarity and excitement, right? Now, phase 3 is where we scale. This is where it gets fun. We've done all the hard work now. Phase 3 is where we will actually eliminate your debt if you have it, if that's applicable to you. If not, we go straight onto the emergency fund. If you do have debt, we do the debt first, then the emergency fund. Sometimes the emergency fund piece is a case of establishing what you already have, running a risk profile of your specific circumstances, which will be done by me, and then determining what you need, looking at what you already have, building a plan to bridge any gap between what you have and what you need, or potentially looking at the surplus you have and what we determine you need and making sure that that's put to work as hard as possible for you. So there's a lot of work to do there, as simple as it sounds, right? Also, we're going to automate your payments, contributions, and finance tracking processes. And we're also going to begin executing on your investment plan and strategy for early retirement and financial freedom. So this is where it gets really fun. The outcome from phase 3 is empowerment. Just like you heard Naomi talk about earlier, recognizing your wealth potential and also understanding the steps and also the timeline that it's going to take to actually achieve that wealth potential. Phase 4 is the momentum phase. Now, as its name suggests, this is where we take the momentum from the previous phases and we just keep it going, okay? Now, the hard work by this point is like 99% done, really, because as you can see, we've done a lot up until this point. So it's just a case from now, once you get to this phase of just watching your fortune build in front of your eyes. You'll have zero debt at this point, not often including your mortgage. By the way, I know a lot of people are wondering what they should be doing in their mortgages. It does very much depend on your specific set of circumstances. For most people, you'll have zero debt, but not your mortgage. It's often not the most optimal thing to do to overpay it versus investing for the long term. But we do need to review your specific circumstances, timelines with both of those, interest rates, so on and so forth. There's a lot of moving parts, and you need to know exactly what you should be doing. Basically, each individual that I work with, I run a scenario to say, okay, if you did overpay and then invested, here's when you get to your ultimate end goal of early retirement. And if you didn't overpay and invested instead and just let your mortgage ride along, here's when you get to your ultimate end goal. And then you're in a position to make a data-driven, informed decision about what you are going to do with your money and your mortgage in that specific example, okay? So when I say you'll have zero debt, often doesn't include the mortgage, sometimes it might. You'll have been executing at this phase on your investment strategy and scaling your contributions and returns at this point as well. Now, your savings rate by here will be topping 40% plus. Now, if someone had said to me at the start of my journey that at any point in my life I'd be have a savings rate of 40% plus, I'd have been like, yeah, all right, mate, see you later. But when I started, my savings rate was 2%. Okay. For the last 6 months or so, it has topped 60%, 60. So it just goes to show, and I'm 9 years deep, right? So remember, the longer you do this, the bigger your numbers get. It really does work that way. So the outcome from phase 4 is unstoppable momentum at this point, right? Financial freedom is now an inevitability, and you are literally just on the cusp of complete time, location of financial freedom. It's no longer a question of if, it's a question of when and how do I make it happen faster, right? Then we hit the ultimate phase, which is the freedom phase. And this is the exciting part. Here, we're going to be completely debt-free, normally including your home at this point. You'll be, however, not in 100% of circumstances, but normally including your home at this point. You'll be financially free and no longer dependent on anyone or any employer, because your passive income from the investment portfolio we've built to this point will be taking care of all of your financial needs. And bear in mind, because at this point you are normally mortgage free or very close to it, and your houses at this point are already several £100,000 on average, you're mortgage free by that point, it's going to be a lot more. And because you've got a high 6 to 7 figure portfolio, you will have a net worth of over £1 million. Right. And again, if someone had said to me at the start of my journey that I was going to be a millionaire one day, inflation aside, I'd have laughed and said, "You're all right, mate, see you later." But like I said, I got started 9 years ago, and in 2 years' time, I will have crossed millionaire status. Okay. So, and again, I'm not saying that to brag, I'm saying that to show that if you take consistent action for long enough, big things happen, but you need to take the initial leap. The outcome from this phase, once you hit the freedom phase, is FU money, right? The freedom to do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want, without ever having to ask for permission. It turns out that the secret formula for financial freedom that we were talking about at the beginning of this presentation, that you've been looking for, the secret formula for becoming wealthy that you've been looking for, is incredibly simple. A tailored plan plus consistency multiplied by patience. If you consistently save, track, and invest your money against a tailored plan, so tailored to you, built around this system and this sequence of steps, and you have patience for 5 to 10 plus years, depending on your timeline, it's impossible that you fail to hit your goals, right? People only fail when they start to save and invest without having their pillars or a solid structured financial roadmap in place. And as a result, because they don't have that roadmap, they don't have the clear goals and milestones that keep them on track. And without the direction, clarity, and conviction that comes with having those goals and milestones, they make bad decisions. They take money out of their savings, or they sell out of their investments, and they just kill their progress. And then they wonder why they're not getting to where they want to be. It's just the worst thing you can do. So just don't be that person, right? Follow the process, follow this process, stick to it every month. As I said, 20 to 30 minutes a month. And one day you'll check your portfolio only to realize you've hit your FI number and you never have to work again. You can hand in your notice and live freely. Just picture that, handing in your notice before your boss retires. Now, I know some of you will be thinking a couple of things maybe. Does this really work, right? Will it work for me is often the most commonly asked question. Will it work for me because of XYZ circumstances? I'm this age, I do this job, blah, 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 right? Does it really work? Will it work for me? Do I have enough money to actually achieve these things? Those are the most commonly asked questions I get. And the answer to all three of them is yes. Everyone can improve their finances and future prospects with this process. And I know this because I've got 330 odd students who have applied it and done exactly that. It doesn't get any more straightforward for me. The average student right now, just to run some numbers and show you like the impact here, the average student right now is able to save and invest an extra £1,700 per month. Okay. The worst case after 12 months of action, so the low end of that average after 12 months, is £1,000 more going into stocks and shares, ISAs, pensions, and so on and so forth, right? So let's use that £1,000 as the low end. Let's say also that you are starting with 10 grand already, maybe like at the low end, right? Again, most people who have been working for any number of years with employer contributions and pensions and so on and so forth, and stocks and shares, ISAs, I'm talking about 10K across everything. Most people have a lot more than that. And if you don't, it's fine. It still works, right? Let's say though that you're starting with 10K, just to use round numbers, and that you end up £1,000 a month better off with £1,000 more per month going into your investments as part of this process, £1,000 more than you would have had without doing it, right? After just 15 years, that £1,000 a month and that 10K starting amount, after just 15 years, would have compounded to be worth £473,000 invested in the right asset types, okay? It's not bad, right? It's made you £500,000 richer than you otherwise would have been. And this is on top of anything else you've got going on right now, right, with your money. But leave that there for 10 more years and you'll have amassed over £1.4 million, okay? And you're starting to see the power of compounding and why it's better to get started sooner rather than later. But the thing is, the clock really is ticking when it comes to compound interest, because after 30 years, that 1K a month investment will be worth a whopping £2.4 million. So just to recap, you could save an extra grand plus more per month into your investments as part of this process and invest that money using a simple set and forget strategy that I will teach you and accrue potentially up to or more than 2.4 million. But let's say, just in case, what if you already have your money invested with maybe a platform and even an advisor or management fee? I know some people said they're using Plum and Wealthify and so on and so forth. Let's say you're using one of those platforms and maybe an advisor as well, and they're managing it for you, right? Well, assuming they get the same rate of return as the funds that we used in that example, and you can check this, statistically speaking, 70% of them fail to even match the performance of those funds, right, before fees. But assuming they can, let's play fair, let's give them a benefit of the doubt. Assuming they can even match the performance, if you're paying a combined 1.5% fee, totaling platform charges and management fees and other charges, using the numbers we've just used in that illustration, you will end up with £562,000 less in your pocket by continuing to make the mistake of using whatever is charging you those fees or whoever is charging you those fees. Use this system instead, and based on those numbers in that illustration, you'll potentially have £562,000 more in your pocket in retirement. So just think what that's worth to you. In my opinion, it's an absolute no-brainer. But you want to know the crazy part? Is these numbers are a worst case scenario for a lot of you, if not most of you. Firstly, the reason I say that with confidence is firstly because most people are starting with a lot more than 10K and are already making regular payments into their pensions along with employer contributions. They've got a lot of salary growth ahead of them, promotions and so on and so forth, right? But that's just the first reason. Second reason is that when you follow this system with me, we don't just look at your investments solely in isolation like a traditional financial advisor would. We ensure that your finances are optimized holistically, right? Meaning that your expenses are optimized. They remain the same as your income increases, which we also work with people on. As that happens, your cash flow increases consistently. Your contributions to your workplace pension also therefore increase. You gain additional tax relief via our account structuring optimizations, which means more money flowing into your accounts at no extra cost to you. Your monthly free cash flow that's increased can then be put towards personal investments, and that also grows. And before you know it, you're contributing way more than you ever thought you could. So you'll likely end up with a lot more than this, a lot more than what we've run through today, if you have the right plan and start today, right? I've made sure, as it's my job to do so, right, that all of my one-on-one students are in a position to take full advantage of this compounding effect and avoiding fees ASAP, and that they have a fully optimized low fee plan with as much free cash flow as possible to pump into this money multiplying phenomenon. Because the bottom line is, the earlier you start and the more you have, the more your money will grow and the faster it will grow. In fact, I want to tell you, because a lot of people hear this and they think, oh, you know, I'm already in my 40s or 50s or maybe even my 60s and they think it's too late. I want to tell you about one of my students who also thought he was getting started too late. So I appreciate you might be older, you might be younger. Take this as like a marker between whatever age you are and his age. But Neil found me at 49 thinking he was getting started too late. He also had a shed load of debt, right? So if anything, you can add a few years onto that because we had to get that gone first. He was able to save, as part of this process, £110,000 on buy-to-let mortgage debt and credit card debt, £110,000 in interest on his debts. And also, despite even having to do that first, we still shaved 9 years off of his retirement age, despite the fact that he was getting started at 49 with over 6 figures of debt, okay, multiple 6 figures of debt. And here's what he had to say about getting that sorted.
I mean, I think what I would say is, having come into this at 49 without a plan to get to 60, which is my retirement age in my head, it's helped me with that. I mean, if I was coming into this plan, a bit into the academy, sorry, as a younger man or woman, I think it's incredibly powerful. I mean, I think I'd probably be retired already if I came in, you know, if I came into this when I was 29, I think I'd already have a plan to retire at my age now, right? So,
Yeah.
But even having come to it late, I suppose the point I'd make, even having come to it quite late in the party, is that I can still see an enormous benefit, and it's 100% worth the investment. And I think your style, Joe, is very friendly, and you know, there's no such thing as a stupid question. We all are quite open with each other. We've all, you know, made mistakes, and financially or otherwise in the past, and you know, it's quite an open forum. We talk openly, and I think it's very, very helpful. I think anyone would be doing themselves a big favour to join. Honestly, I think it's very powerful.
So, if this incredibly powerful and simple process, as Neil put it, is all it takes, which is what I'm saying, right? Then why isn't everyone doing this and able to retire earlier? And the answer to that is also really simple. It's because you simply haven't been given all of this information and this proven structured process and system for achieving your goals until now. And once that's in place, you'll have clarity over your finances and the steps that you need to take. And that clarity and process gives you the confidence you need to make good, informed financial and investment decisions, because you will know that they are going to drive you closer to your specific, clearly defined goal. Once that's all laid out, everything unlocks. And this is what allows you to begin looking forward on your future with certainty and excitement rather than uncertainty and fear and dread, which is what most people feel when they look forward on their finances. So doing this puts you in a really, really nice, it's a great position to be in. The bottom line is, until you follow a structured system like this, you're not going to make the progress you want to see, because you have lives, families, hobbies to be getting on with. You don't have the time to figure this all out for yourself. Just follow this strategy and stay disciplined and don't do anything stupid. That's what Reese did. Okay, this isn't another video, so don't panic. But Reese found me at 28. Okay, so relatively early in his journey, but he earned good money. However, him and his wife found themselves living paycheck to paycheck, stressed about money, in tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt, living with one of their parents for what they thought, basically, they were living with his dad with their 3 boys for what they thought was going to be 3 years before they'd be able to buy a house of their own. And best case, they thought they'd be able to retire maybe by 68. After just 8 weeks of working through the system with me, using the tools and with my help, they are now £2,500 a month better off. They are no longer stressed about opening their online banking app, if you can relate. They've paid off 90% of their debt simply by just restructuring and moving money around. And they were just doing the wrong, less optimal thing with it. And by doing so, they saved £4,000 in interest immediately, right? But one of the biggest wins is that by doing all of this and having me optimize their finances and lay out the plan that we put in place, it's now only going to take them 10 months to be able to buy their first house together. You imagine how relieved his dad is, but it just, that's the impact here, right? Oh, he's also cut 21 years off of his retirement age. The reason most don't achieve results like this is because they put it off and they let life happen to them rather than jumping on an opportunity like this and making the life they want to have happen. That's the only difference. You just got to pick what camp you want to be in. So I've got 2 scenarios here just to demonstrate the cost of delaying, the cost of putting it off and waiting, right? We've got Jean on the left and Joanna on the right. They are both the exact same age, just for argument's sake. They're both 30. Both of them want to be able to retire by 60 with 40 grand a year in retirement income. And that will require a £1 million portfolio based on the 4% rule, which we discussed earlier. Now, Both of them also have £550 a month to invest. So why would there be any difference, right? All of these things are the same. Well, Jean starts today. We like Jean. She starts today and she ends up with £1,050,000 in retirement at 60, giving her an income of £42,000 a year. That's an extra £2,000 a year for more travel and leisure and the things she likes doing, right? That's a nice bonus. Joanna, on the other hand, she puts it off because now's not a great time, if we've heard that excuse before. She starts 12 months later, right? She thinks she'll get started in a few weeks or a few months, and then before you know it, a whole year's gone by. For most people, it's longer than that. In this case, she was lucky. Only 12 months had gone by, but because of that 12-month delay, she ends up with £93,000 less than Jean in retirement and £4,000 less in income per year in retirement. Unfortunately, that doesn't meet her income requirements and means she has £4,000 less to do the things that she wants. So she has to cut back on the travel and the fun she wanted to have in retirement just so she can pay her bills, right? Waiting for the right time is going to leave you worse off by literally tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds, because that gap doesn't grow by 93 grand per year every year. That gap grows exponentially with compounding for each year that you delay. Now, the numbers on the screen there assume that you are starting from zero. So take them with a grain of salt because most of you are not. But it is a really good demonstration and illustration of how much it costs you to wait, delay, or even the cost of figuring it out for yourself and making the inevitable mistakes that brings, right? It's always going to take longer than doing it with someone who's already done it, okay? You get the idea though. So tell me, are you really too busy to save yourself £93,000, like in the example we saw with Jean and Joanna? How about 250 grand, which is the extra you will have to contribute out of your pocket if you get started in your 50s and 60s, assuming you're starting from zero, versus your 30s and 40s? Again, take the figures with a grain of salt, but you see the potential loss, right? It is not worth the cost of waiting. No one is too busy to save themselves that much money, in my opinion, and waiting for the right time is not an excuse that your future self is going to be happy with when you're the one stuck working into your 60s and 70s when you could have avoided that situation and retired a lot earlier to do what you want with your life. So here's what we have covered so far. You know that your problems can be fixed and your goals and desires achieved with this system, right? You've heard from the people who've already done it and myself. You've seen the system laid out for you in detail with the outcomes that you can expect to achieve once you complete each phase. You know the power of compound interest and the importance of getting started or the importance of getting a custom investment plan and strategy in place to get started with sooner rather than later. You understand the importance of that. And you've seen what it's going to cost you if you wait, right? With every month, every year amounting to tens, if not hundreds of thousands that you will either be short of in retirement or have to contribute extra out of your pocket to catch up if you don't start today. So some of the things I normally hear at this point, or some things I suspect people might be thinking is, first of all, will this work for me, as we went through earlier, right? Now, as you've seen, I've worked with people across all demographics and ages, income ranges and starting points, career types, self-employed, limited company owners, literally people who are on 100% commission basis and so on and so forth. And it works for all of them, okay? Every single one of those people are better off. I've also worked with people across the planet as well. So if you are based anywhere else, I've also worked with people in the UK, the EU, Ireland, America, Canada, Australia. No matter their location or their current circumstances, all of them now know how to achieve their specific goals and are on track to do so. The next question, or a thing that we've heard, and this is often comes from people who haven't invested before or actually like got involved with the investments they have in their pensions without even realizing they're investing, or the people who've never seen the kind of compound interest calculators. So it's that they're afraid they are going to lose money. And I totally understand. Everyone who gets started with investing is daunted by it. Getting started with investing just is daunting. But this is why I am so keen on not just providing you with like a plan and a bunch of steps and expecting you to blindly follow it, but actually providing you with the education you need on all of the processes and the strategies that we'll use to achieve your goals so that you have the confidence you need to actually enact those steps that I give you. That's the key difference between what I do and what other people do. ultimately, when it comes to investing, your investments will go down as well as up over time. We know this, right? This is just an inherent necessary part of how investing works. But what we also know with certainty is that the market has averaged a 10.9% annualized return for the best part of the last 80 years. And we use a return estimate of 9% to be safe, and also factor in inflation twice on your calculations, purposely to sandbag it so that we are under promising and over delivering. I'd much rather you get there a bit earlier than expected than get there later than expected. That's exactly my intention. Okay. Another thing we hear, despite what we've just talked about, is now's not a great time, right? For whatever reason. Look, you know how much it's going to cost you to wait. The bottom line is the people who dive in immediately unlock their financial potential immediately and have their custom roadmap in place within 30 to 60 days normally. Those who don't dive in immediately, they slip back into their day-to-day routine, and before you know it, another 2 years have gone by, and you're now 6 figures plus behind on where you could have been had you just got started now, maybe at an unideal time, but there is never a good time, let me tell you that for free. And finally, one thing that I've heard now and again, not too often, but one thing I have heard, especially from people who haven't seen the compound interest calculators and how that works, and I know much about investing, right, is this sounds too good to be true. Now, it's good to be skeptical, but actually this doesn't sound too good to be true, if you ask me. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. We are using government-approved, regulated methods of investing and building wealth over the long term. It takes time, it takes patience, and consistency. And if you don't put in the work and you don't have patience and you aren't consistent, you will not get results. I'll be very, very clear with you. It will not work, right? You need to do those things. Now, if I was promising to make you a millionaire tomorrow, next week, next month, even next year by just hitting some buttons and following some signals and going out for a nice lunch and coming back and making 10 grand, right? That's a get rich quick scheme. That is not what this is. I promise you. Okay. So I hope that you can see the difference there between what this is, government approved regulated methods of building wealth over the long term, versus all that nonsense that you might be seeing online. So hopefully you can see the difference, and I help to kind of shift your mindset there. Now that you have all of this information, you have two options, just like I did at the start of my journey. Option one is actually you're a little bit ahead of where I was, right? You can take what you've learned today, because I didn't have future me that you've just met. You can take what you've learned today and attempt to build a comprehensive financial roadmap for your future and your family's future around everything going on in your life with the existing commitments that you have. Now, if you do, I want to be really, really clear about what that plan needs to cover and address so that it doesn't fall on its face, okay? You're going to need that plan to address your month-to-month finances. You're going to need a proactive money management and tracking system, which feeds you the information you need on monthly free cash flow, savings and investment growth, debt progress, net worth impact, a debt elimination planner if that's applicable for you, sinking fund and account structuring set up for level loading your yearly finances, accurate fine number calculation and iteration schedule, and a tax efficient investment plan and strategy, ISA bridging strategy if necessary, and life insurance strategy built around that fine number. And you'll need to link all of that stuff to your current circumstances, because if you are not tying all of the pieces of your existing financial puzzle together with this plan that you are trying to build, then not only will it eventually just leave you feeling lost and confused sooner or later, but you're also just going to miss out on a ton of easy wins and optimizations that mean you are going to miss out on getting tens, if not hundreds of thousands more in your investment accounts by retirement at no extra cost to you. You just got to know what to do, right? And if you don't, that's not going to happen. And obviously that's just going to delay your progress further. So, right, that's option one. Option two kind of goes without saying, right? I can help you shortcut the entire process, give you the tools, the knowledge, and the structured system that took me 9 years to develop on day one of your journey, along with ongoing accountability. If you do that, you'll have a step-by-step plan tailored to your circumstances in place within 30 to 60 days. No ambiguity, no guesswork, no fear of making huge financial mistakes and the delays that come with that, right? So how do you get my help? Is probably the question you're asking right now. Now, at this point, it's time to reveal the gift that I've been harping on at you about. Now, I've intentionally reserved it until this point of the presentation so that only those who are actually committed to achieving their financial goals and have stayed until this point get the opportunity that you are about to receive. We have still got over 2,000 people on this call across 2 platforms, okay? And because you've watched this far, I think it's safe to assume that you're the kind of people who aren't all talk, right? You're actually ready to do what it takes. And for the record, this that I'm about to offer you, this gift, is exclusively for you because you joined the event this evening. You won't see me promoting this elsewhere. I never have, and I never will, okay? Are you ready? I'm giving you the opportunity to get access to the video course element of the Financial Freedom Academy. This is normally sold as an add-on for my one-on-one students for £1,080, but I'm offering it to you today to help you with everything I've laid out for you during this event. And that's not all. I'm giving you £600 off, okay, and lifetime access to the 34 videos and 4 tools that will walk you through exactly what you need to do step by step to secure your finances and set yourself up for the more comfortable and earlier retirement that I told you that it would deliver. So I've just dropped the link for you in the chat right now. I'm also going to share it in the chat. I just need to send it to my phone so that you can claim that. Because as it says on there, we do only have 20 available, and and obviously we've got still 2,000 people. We just dipped under 2,000 people on this call. So do make sure that you grab one. I'll explain why there's only 20 in a second, and it is basically based on capacity. We can only take on a certain number of people, of course. So let me drop that in the WhatsApp group, 2 seconds, and then I'll run through what's actually included in the course. There we go. Right. So that is in there for anyone who needs it. By the way, with your lifetime access, you get all future updates and no extra costs. And for context there, we started with 23 videos and 2 tools. We now have 34 videos and 4 tools. The cost has gone up since then, obviously, because we've added so much additional extra content and value. Whereas if you lock it in now, you never have to pay more despite us adding further value in the future. So there's a lot of good reasons for getting one locked in sooner rather than later. Now, the reason for the offer, which is, by the way, the biggest I've ever done on this course, is because I believe that if you are watching this evening, then you really are serious about achieving similar results to those that you've seen me and my clients achieve. And if that's the case, then this is the information and knowledge you need to achieve those goals. Now, the reason for that only being 20 copies is because each person who invests will get the opportunity to book a call with my team where they'll have the opportunity to apply to join the Financial Freedom Academy. And we only have 20 spots available in the academy because me and my coaches can only work with so many people, right? So it didn't make sense to offer more of these than we have spaces there because that would be unfair to you. So this felt like the fairest way to do it. So we do only have 20 spots there, which is why we have 20 of these available. Now, the thing that I'm really excited to announce, which I alluded to for the people in the WhatsApp group and the start of this, is that there was an opportunity which is worth £2,000, okay? So what I'm really excited to announce, and also a little bit kind of, no, I don't think this is feasible to do financially for me for the long term, so this is the last time we'll be doing this. When you do join the academy after getting the video course, I'm also going to take a huge £2,000 off the enrollment fee for those 20 people when you join the one-on-one coaching program. When you join the one-on-one coaching program, you will get 9 months of one-on-one access to me and my senior coaches, where you will have me or one of my coaches build out your entire lifetime financial roadmap for you and with you. Right, you can see why that's so beneficial and why that's so valuable. Now, this is an exclusive one-off, like I said, that I've never done before, and I'm not going to be doing this again. This is purely just to celebrate the insane response that we had to this event and the fact that it's the beginning of a new year. Hence why we've had to cap the numbers, right? And to be clear, that £2,000 off is only for those who purchase the video course, right? You don't get that discount if you don't get that first. So it's ultimately because you're the ones that are demonstrating commitment, right, and to achieving your goals. So you're the people we want to give our time to. Sorry. 7 have gone already. Jesus. Okay. Right. Sorry. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So seven have gone already, but they're called wows. Okay, so whilst you're locking in your space, let me tell you about what you're actually getting with this course. Okay, so the video course is really it's as close as you can get to guaranteeing that you'll achieve your goals and become financially free. Obviously, the absolute guarantee is when you work with me, because if you're just doing the video course, you are responsible for showing up and putting in the work and getting yourself the results. Whereas if you sign up to work with me, I'm taking the responsibility of getting you a certain level of results, right? So the video course is as close as you can get to guaranteeing without actually getting the full guarantee. Because in under 30 days, you will identify and fix your self-sabotaging money habits, freeing up thousands of pounds every single year in your finances. You will learn how to master and maintain a budget that enables you to build wealth on autopilot. You will learn how to systematically eliminate your debts faster than you ever thought possible, saving thousands, if not tens of thousands of pounds in interest. You will learn how to build a set and forget investment plan and strategy that leads to an earlier, more comfortable retirement. I'm going to reiterate that point because a lot of people ask me the question of, is the investment stuff included in the course? Yes, the course will teach you how to build a set and forget investment plan and strategy that leads you to an earlier, more comfortable retirement. It's everything. It's the whole system and strategy that I'm implementing myself. You will also learn how to identify exactly how and when you will hit each of your financial milestones with the step-by-step walkthroughs provided in the course. There is a really good reason why nobody in the Financial Freedom Academy has ever failed. And it's because you get all of the information, all of the knowledge, and all of the tools you need without the fluff. You also get a proven, structured, step-by-step system to follow, along with the tools that are actually built to work with that specific system as you work through it. And then if you do upgrade to the one-on-one program, you get someone holding your hand through the whole process saying, yes, this is what we do next. This is where you put this money. This is where you put that money. This is why we do this. This is why we do that. So on and so forth, so that it all kind of falls into place for you. It just completely removes the guesswork. And by doing so, helps you avoid costly mistakes and delays. And another 8 have got, sorry, eight total or another, no, okay, so with 5 we got 5 left. Okay, sorry. So just trying to get that clear so I can give you the right message. We've 5 left already. So while you're finding your way over to the page and locking in one of those last 5, let me share the bonuses. But I also have bonuses, by the way. Let me share the bonuses that are exclusively for you on this call. Again, I don't often offer these. So first bonus, when you get, I'm trying to do this before they all go. When you get the video course, you're going to get an immediate upgrade to the full, like the creme de la creme. There is no better version than this that I have on offer. Okay, you're going to get the full premium financial freedom tracker spreadsheet, which was I kind of showed you earlier, but with the whole suite of tools within it. Okay, this is several levels up from the basic version of the budgeting template you might have if you've got anything from me in the past. You'll be able to set, track, and achieve all of your financial goals faster and easier than you can imagine with this tool. And lifetime updates are included at no extra cost, okay? Now, the return that you should expect to see from just using this one tool alone is £400 a month. In fact, just from using the first tab of the 8 tabs that are within this tool, just tab 1 of 8 within this one of 4 tools, right? You should expect to see a return of £400 per month. So just in 1 month, this one tab of the 8 in this first tool, of which there are 4, is going to pay for your entire investment. Like that seems pretty fair to me. Now, the range of results in terms of what people benefit from by using that first tab within this first tool, the range of improvements ranges from about £400 a month up to about £6,500 a month. That's just based on the range of the household incomes of the people that we work with, basically. So the lifetime benefit, and so this is just assuming you're on the very, very low end of what people achieve, right? The lifetime benefit, if you are just on the low end of this, is massive, because that's £400 a month. That's £4,800 a year. After 2 years, that's £9,600 a month. Sorry, £9,600 after 2 years. You think about that happening every single year, even if you benefit from nothing else in this program, which you will, it's kind of a no-brainer. So the lifetime benefit is literally tens of thousands. In fact, I'm going to elaborate. I would encourage you to log into the course as soon as your email instructions arrive, and check your junk folder, by the way, because if you've purchased and you don't have a confirmation email from me saying your name, here's access to the video course, if you don't have that yet, check your junk and your spam folder or your marketing folder, whatever you've got. and look there, because it will have arrived immediately. And if it's not in those two places, then the reason is that you've probably entered your email incorrectly, in which case you just need to reach out to us. So do that. Check your inbox, check your junk folder so that you can watch the introduction and download this tool. That way you can get started immediately and we'll see an immediate return on your investment literally within the next few days. Just get it done. There's no reason not to. It's only going to benefit you. You're also going to gain immediate access to the debt elimination walkthrough and debt elimination planning and execution tools. Now, this kind of duo has helped my clients avoid, like I said, on average, £23,000 in interest on their debts and become debt-free 10 years faster. So if you have debt, this piece alone, if you just get the average results, will pay for your investment today 52 times over. So, I mean, if you don't have debt, that's cool. You're going to get this anyway, because obviously we had to put together a product that can be delivered to everyone, regardless of who you are. But you're probably, sorry, they're gone. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, 10. Do it. Okay, so congrats to John, Catherine, and Jane, who got the last 3 copies there. So they've gone. So what we've done. So let me just try and make this clear. So basically, when we had 20 copies here, we had 10 available. Basically, we take on 30 people in cohorts. Those other 10 places were available for people from like website inquiries, social media, and so on and so forth. But they're not here, and you are. And it looks like there might be more people who want it. So what my team have done with this is they've added another 10 copies to the availability on the website, and we've shut the program publicly, so no one can get in, basically, other than the people who are on this call. So I've been told to let you know the counter that's like showing you how many are left is obviously malfunctioning a bit, because they need to update the coding behind that, because there's an extra 10 copies. But it should be working. So please refresh the page. Apparently it's crashing a bit because of the traffic. Refresh the page. There are payment plan options available as well. So if you go on there, you can spread this out between 1 and 4 months if you need to. So do consider that. Obviously the cost gets more the more you spread it out, because of the costs associated with managing these payment plans, and things like that. So do bear that in mind, but there are payment plans available out there to make this more accessible for everyone. So with that said, there are 10 more there, hopefully still. I'm going to reveal another bonus, and then I'll do another count just to let you know. So where was I? Debt elimination. Yeah. So like I was saying, if you don't have debt, you are going to get that piece anyway, but you are probably more interested in this next bonus. So with the video course, and do pay attention here, with the video course, you are also going to unlock everything you need to achieve the success that you've been looking for with your investments once and for all, and to finally be able to understand how to invest and grow your money with a proven time-tested strategy. Okay, you're going to get immediate access to 11 video modules covering everything you need to know to invest for financial freedom. So this is including just what is investing on a basic level. And it's amazing to me how many people come to me and say, oh, I don't think I need that bit. Can I have the course for less because I don't need that module? And then I say no, and then they watch it and they say, oh, I'm really glad I kept that in, and I really wish I knew this stuff before I got started. You think you know what you're doing until you realize you don't, right? So what is investing on a fundamental level? Investment choices and allocations, compounding and the power of now, tax efficient investing, index fund investing versus ETFs, investing mistakes to avoid so you don't become another statistic, the true cost of investment fees so you know how to avoid them, what it takes to pick individual stocks step by step, how to build, structure and manage a portfolio, how to tolerate, manage and leverage market volatility, how to calculate your FIRE number, the 4% rule and more. And I've just realized that's 12, not 11. So you're getting an extra one there as well. And that, by the way, is on top of the step-by-step video walkthroughs on calculating financial independence in different ways, so that you'll know exactly how, with all of this, you will know exactly how much you need to invest in each month, what type of accounts to utilize for tax efficiency, what your allocation percentages should be across your selected asset types, and how to manage, rebalance your portfolio and forecast your returns accurately over the long run. It's everything you need from start to finish. Okay, I've cut out all the fluff and just included everything that you need to succeed with your investments once and for all. And then to help with the building and ongoing management and balancing of your portfolio, all of which I show you how to do in the course, by the way, I'm also giving you access to an additional Excel tool, which I'm really, really excited to do. So with this tool, what you can do is you can set your target allocations. By that, I mean, you can pick, say, 3 funds, and you can say, right, I want 30% in this one, 30% exposure to this one, and 40% exposure to the third one. So you set your target allocations, plus or minus, say, 5-10%, and you can adjust, you can set that number as well. You then input your actual holdings. So how much of each one of those shares you own, it will work out what your total portfolio is worth, what your allocation percentages are, so on and so forth. And using some fancy coding, it will keep track of current market prices to let you know if and when you verge outside of your allocation targets and safety margins, right? And this is really, really important, right? It might sound like waffle to a lot of you, but this is really, really important because you can then make informed decisions about what you are going to buy, sell, or maybe you have to stop buying in your investment portfolio in order to rebalance your portfolio, which needs to be done relatively regularly. It's amazing how many people come to me and say, I don't think I need your help because I've got an investment portfolio, I know what I'm doing. And I say, cool, let's talk about your strategy and your rebalancing schedule and strategy there as well. And they say, sorry, what do you mean rebalancing? And then they reveal that they have no idea what that means and that they're not doing it. But the crazy thing is they just told me that they're an experienced investor and they know what they're doing, and yet they're not doing a fundamental aspect of portfolio management and investing. And it just blows my mind. So this puts you ahead of all of those other people who like to think that they're investors. So again, what it does is it really just removes the guesswork. It puts optimizations in place and therefore better returns as well. And that just means more money, again, in your pocket over the long run. Now, that's that bonus. The next bonus is brand new. And the reason I'm excited to share this is because it was previously exclusive for my Academy members only, because there wasn't a video module to go along with showing people how to use it. But there now is, which means I've done my due diligence and shown you the correct way. So if you do it wrong, you can't blame me. So you're also going to get access to the safe withdrawal rate risk calculator, which is a game changer. So what this does, once you've determined your financial independence number and your withdrawal rate, you can then plug those numbers into this calculator. So the course will show you how to do all of this, and there's a video module showing you how to use this tool as well. You'll plug your numbers into this calculator and it will show you, using statistical probabilities, the percentage likelihood of success of your specific numbers. It does this by looking back over actual stock market data between 1922 and 2022, so nearly 100 years basically of data. And it looks over 65 different 30-year windows between those two dates. And it says, okay, well, if you started with your amount of money and you took out what you're saying you're going to take out, how many times would that have worked and how many times would it have not worked? And therefore provides you with a statistical probability of success. And it is incredible. So if you follow the process correctly, you'll end up with around a 97% likelihood of success, which is pretty bloody good odds. And it's just remarkable. Again, the thing here is it just gives you more peace of mind and confidence. Because when you think about it, most people that I know, most of my relatives, older relatives, have gone into retirement in fear that they might run out of money. So they spend less, they cut back, they restrict themselves. And then what often happens is they actually end up with a lot more than they need, but at a point in their lives where they can't actually spend it. So what this does is it gives you the confidence that you can actually live your life the way you want, and you can withdraw that amount of money, and so on and so forth. And confidence is ultimately just what encourages you to keep plugging away at your goals, which means higher odds of success. And that means more money in your pocket. Again, that's really the bottom line. So that's that one. Again, the return on that one is just peace of mind. Then, and this is really, really special, I'm emailing out access to a case study article that I produced for my Academy students titled "The 3 Money Murdering Mistakes That No Financial Advisor Would Dare Tell You," which is a bold title, I appreciate, but I know financial advisors and they've looked over this and they all agree with what I've written. So again, just check your junk folder because you do not want to miss this module of the course. This article details the 3 key mistakes that I see people making every day. Bear in mind, I've worked with over 300 odd people over the last 3 years running this program line. So this article details the 3 key mistakes that I've seen these people making every single day that is costing them literally hundreds of thousands of pounds over their investing lifetime. The painful part is it's just money they never end up seeing that they could have seen had they not made these mistakes. So it's not something they're kind of like losing in front of their eyes. It's just money they never end up getting that they could have got. And what this article does is it shows you how to avoid making these mistakes, or even stop or reverse the damage that's been done to your wealth potential if you already made one or more of those mistakes. Now, you can see next to each of those bonuses that I provided the return, and I've used the low end of the range for each of these. So the return that you should expect to receive from each one by using each of these elements of the course, okay? So starting from the beginning, you're already getting £600 off via the gift this evening, £600 off a course that will help you retire on average about 18 years earlier, depending on your age and starting point, right? So let's go like super low end of the range. Like I think probably the worst results we've ever got someone is that they're going to be able to retire 5 years earlier than they expected. So let's use that. So let's say you're only able to retire 5 years earlier than you could have. Let's say that's all I can do for you. And let's say that each of those years of additional freedom, where money is no longer an issue, is worth, say, £1,000. £1,000 a year, £1,000 to retire a year earlier. I mean, if someone was selling extra years of retirement for £1,000 a piece, I'd be taking out bank loans and retiring today. So that, I mean, 5 years at £1,000, that's £5,000 worth of value if you just get the low end of the results. That's £5,000 worth of value. And then there's the monthly improvement to your expenses of at least, again, the low end of £400 a month. That's another £4,800 a year. So that's nearly 10 grand already that it's returned. Then we have the debt modules, if you have them, which have saved my clients 23 grand in interest and 10 years of their lives that they're now not going to have to make payments on their debts, where they can instead save for their own financial future and their own family's financial future rather than lining the pockets of bank managers. That's another £23,000 worth of value. So that's 30-odd thousand pounds worth of value already. Then there's the modules and tools that you need to build an effective, tax-efficient, low-fee investment plan and strategy using safe, proven, time-tested methods that actually work. And unless you know how to do all of that and already have it in place, then that's going to earn you well over 6 figures over your investing lifetime, if not more. Because when you think about it, like, the average student is saving £468,000 just in investment fees alone, right? Working with me using this process instead of an advisor charging a 1.5% fee. So we literally have another few £100,000 worth of value to be gained from this course and these bonuses, and it's £480. So please, if you're sat there thinking, can I afford 480? Do I want to spend 480 pounds? I would instead ask yourself, can I actually afford to carry on without this course? Because in terms of what it's going to provide you over the coming months, even just weeks, months, and especially years, if you use it consistently, that's nothing. Okay, because every month you continue without this knowledge and the tools and the things that led you to want to attend this event in the first place, right? That's costing you a lot more than £480 every month that you leave this. So let's see. Can I have an update? How many we've got left at this point? Okay, 6 left. Okay, and then I'm going to reveal the last bonus. There is one more. Yeah, just need a drink. I'll do this last bonus, and then I'm going to do Q&A. So if you've got questions, post them in the Q&A now. So this one's really, really special for all of the action takers who are on the call this evening. So with access to the video course, you are going to get that exclusive opportunity to apply for a private one-on-one mentorship from me or one of my coaches inside the Full Financial Freedom Academy. Now, I've touched on this already, but the Academy is where me and my coaches will personally guide a select number of individuals to accelerate their journey to financial freedom, right, as much as possible. But I need you to understand why this bonus in particular is so important, because as of right now, the doors to the Academy are closed, right? We are now intentionally holding off on taking anyone else on so that everyone on this call who's purchased this evening, even if you're not here now anymore, get priority consideration to join. Now, like I said, we want to reward the action takers, and you are the ones who have shown up tonight and shown intent. But on top of that, I'm offering a massive £2,000 off your enrollment fee, which is the biggest money off offer I have ever run. So with that offer, plus the video course gift price, that's £2,600 less than it's going to cost anyone else. So once you purchase the video course, you're going to be invited to book a 45-minute to 60-minute call with one of my senior team members. During that call, they'll just ask some questions to dive deeper into your circumstances to assess if you're a good fit. And ultimately, if we can deliver the level of results we're known for, we're not going to try and sell something to someone that's not going to work for them, because that'd be a massive waste of our time, right? So there's no pressure. So we did this for Ross, right? Ross in the top left there went from having absolutely no plan for his retirement, literally no pension at 42, to being set to retire at 50 in the space of 8 weeks. Matt, middle right, middle top there, he went from depleting his savings with no future plans, so his inheritance savings from his nan as well. He went from depleting that every single month with no future plans for investments to now investing an extra £500 a month and being set to retire at 47. Angelica, right, top right there, she went from thinking, in her words, that she was going to work until she was dead. It's quite a funny interview if you go to my YouTube and watch it. She's now saving $1,400 a month more and now set to retire at 55. Juliana, bottom left there, she went from having no goal, no plan, and literal financial anxiety to now saving an extra $4,500 a month between her and her partner and being set to retire at 51, and so on and so forth. And there are reams of these interviews that I've done on my YouTube. There are literally hundreds of individual kind of case studies from specific circumstances with each of my students on my Instagram highlight reels for you to go and check out as well. So if you are serious, I mean this, if you are serious about bettering your finances and would like my one-on-one support, literally holding your hand through the entire process, then I urge you to take this opportunity. And please don't take this as me being pushy either, because I think if you'd seen the people that I've worked with before and after, if you've been on these calls with people that you've worked with for a period of months who are literally in tears because of how much it's transformed their lives and how much less stress they have and how much more peace of mind they have and how they're no longer worried about debt, they're no longer stressed about opening their online banking, they've got a system, they've got money for the things they need, they've got emergency funds, they no longer have debt, they have a plan for their future. Like, you would be shouting from the rooftops as much as I am. You would be telling people to do this and take action on this, right? So but please don't mistake my enthusiasm for pushing this, I beg. So go get your video course and the tools, lock in your call, and jump on the opportunity to get that 2,600 odd off what it's going to cost anyone else. Because if you do, I mean, you could be the next person I interview. You don't have to be. Obviously, a lot of people want to stay anonymous, and that's absolutely fine. But you could be the next success interview. Now, we talked earlier about your options, right? Option one being you try and do this all yourself over the next few months and hopefully don't make too many costly mistakes and suffer too many delays, which are inevitable. And option two, and I'm saying that from experience, option two being this course, right? And potentially the academy as well, giving you everything you need, and me or my coaches building you your entire plan for you in a period of around 30 to 60 days. We are also, if you do that, if you join the one-on-one program, we guarantee that you get the results you want, or you get your money back plus another £500 as well. So you've literally got nothing to lose by doing it. So bear that in mind. Now, I've been running this program for 2 years now. So I've spoken to a lot of people, right, as you can expect. 3 years now, sorry. It's literally our birthday, January. We launched in January 2023. So we've been running for 3 years now, right? And of course, right, some people do choose to go it alone. And by that, I mean these people, they don't get the video course, they don't get the one-on-one help, and they say, I'm just going to try and figure it all out for myself for whatever reason, right? In those cases, we always follow up with those people 6 months later, just to see how they're getting on, right? Just for our own data, so we can see how we're doing versus how people are doing who say they're going to do it without our help. This is what we've seen happen with those people who tried to do it themselves without the video course and without the one-on-one help. The first thing that we notice is many of them just very, very quickly become overwhelmed with the number of steps, the number of choices that they have to make in the first instance, and not knowing the exact starting point for them based on their circumstances. So they just don't start, right? And life and opportunity just passes them by. They also don't know what choice to make with the various investment types, asset types, platform types, so on and so forth, and the different options available. And this often leads to them just choosing something on a whim and often making the wrong or maybe just a less optimal option. and therefore paying tens of thousands more in fees than they could or should have over their investing lifetime. They're also not educated on how to optimize for tax efficiencies, and therefore they lose out on getting literally tens of thousands more, if not more, than they could have in their pocket later in life if they just knew what to do. They also often lack the confidence they need to continue investing when something's going on in the world or something's going on in the markets, because they just have a bunch of questions and they fear they're doing the wrong thing. And because they've tried it alone, they don't have a sounding board, they don't have someone to go to and ask questions and to guide them through those circumstances. So they give up and they lose out. Now, in the 3 years that we've been following up with people who took option one, who didn't get the video course, and sorry, let me repeat, these are the people who did not buy the video course and did not get the one-on-one help. We've spoken with over 800 people. I can tell you a mind-blowing 0% of them had made any progress whatsoever after 6 months. After 6 months of choosing to go it alone, none of them had made any progress. And you might be sat there thinking, well, Joe, it's only been 6 months, like cut them some slack, give them a break. But I see the other side, right? These people are losing out on years of their life because of that delay that they could have been financially free. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more that they could have had in their investment portfolio because of that delay. And I don't want that for anyone. Again, I know I'm coming across enthusiastic here, but I see it happening. I see both sides, because I also see those who did take the leap with me, right? And joined the full program. They had their roadmap in place within 30 to 60 days. They were saving thousands more than they thought they could, becoming debt-free faster, saving 23 grand in interest on their debts, had an investment plan and strategy in place that had them set to retire years earlier on the passive income that I was helping them to build, versus those who've made no progress. So the gap between those who didn't invest in themselves and those who did is now massive after just 6 months, right? And that gap is growing exponentially every single day. So just ask yourself, like, which side of that equation do you want to be on, right? The side with those who are actually progressing and accumulating wealth every single day now with a clear path to financial freedom, or the side with those who are stuck where they've always been for years, right? Going backwards as you continue to fail to unlock your full wealth potential. That's literally just the choice you have to make ultimately. Now, obviously, we have a lot more people who want option two, so having it all done for you, than we actually have spaces available. Obviously, like we said, we still got over 1,000 people on this call across 2 platforms, and we only have, I need to update that, obviously, 30 spots available now. That's how many people can access the course and will also have the opportunity to get the program. Now, the reason for this limit goes without saying, really, right? My team of 2 and I can only take on so many calls. Can only take on so many students, and the team of people who take the calls can only take so many calls in a day. So as much as we'd love to offer a call to the 3,300 plus people who signed up for this platform, it's not feasible, is it? I'm sure you can appreciate that. So we have to prioritize those people who are actually showing that they're ready to move forwards. So yeah. So what I wanted to say, it's like, that's why only those who purchase the video course are going to get the opportunity, to ensure that we're giving our time to those who really want this. So you're the people we want to give our time to. So it may be that you are unable to get a place if you haven't already, but you should be able to see the link in the chat to grab your copy if there are any left. I'm going to go through Q&A now, but I really do hope that you jump on this opportunity and give yourself and your family the best chance for the future financially. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to help as many of you as possible. So just make sure you get yours locked in ASAP to avoid disappointment. All you need to do, click the link in the chat, check out, select a time and date for your call, fill in the brief form so we can understand who you are and what you want to do, and we'll take it from there. Now, if for any reason you decide not to claim this one-time offer tonight and you decide to try and give this a go on your own without any help, knowing the statistical likelihood of that resulting in no progress being made after 6 months is probably a sign that you're not a good fit. So, if we never speak again, that's totally okay. Ultimately, not everyone is built for this, but I would just encourage you to take some form of action, no matter what it is to take one step forward with your finances, so that you don't find yourself in a position where it's actually too late to do something about your future finances, and you end up having to restrict your quality of life and so on and so forth. It's just not a position I want anyone to be in. Okay, so I hope this training has been that stepping stone, or that guidance that you've needed to take some form of action today. Just go and do something. Right. So let me open up Q&A, and then we'll go through these questions. Right. So find one that's actually a question people have been. Yeah, we've got over 200 questions in here, so obviously I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to get to all of you, but so I apologize if I've not got to your question. But let me try and find the ones that are the most popular. So, please can you send the video links for the course, Hannah? So they have been emailed to you. Check your junk folder. This is one that comes up sometimes if it's gone to your junk folder. So you'll have an email from me saying your name, in this case, Hannah. Here's access to the video course. If it's not in your inbox, it will be in a junk folder. If it's not in either of those places, then it's because you have entered your email incorrectly. And if that's happened, you just need to email support. I'll put it in the chat. support@financiallysavvy.co. And they will get you connected to your account, which is currently assigned to an email address that you might have entered incorrectly. But if it's not in your inbox and it's not in your junk, the email's been entered incorrectly. So I'll pop the email in the chat there for you to go and get that sorted. Right. How much longer is the call going to be? Yeah, that's done now. So Stan, is it possible to get access to the financial tracker spreadsheet in phase 1? Yes. So in phase 1, there is the tools module, and that's where you download all of the tools from. Cool. Hannah, the team has just resent the email access for the course. Not a question, as you've explained a hell of a lot this evening, but thank you. Got my call with Roman booked in for Saturday to take some exciting, scary next steps to money confidence. Amazing. Yeah, Adele, looking forward to it. Apologies if I have mispronounced your name. Right. What kind of income are these people earning? Really, the range is huge, as you can appreciate, right? We've worked with over 300 people over the last 3 years. We've worked with single person households on, say, like average salaries of, say, like 20-odd thousand a year. And we've worked with people who are self-employed, limited company owners earning multiple 6 figures a year as well. So the income range is huge. Ultimately, what I would say is, if you implement it, if you have an income at all, right, and you have the desire to improve your prospects for the future, then the course will help you, right? Whether that, if you are on a super low income and obviously you can't afford to get the one-on-one coaching, I'm just going to be completely open with you, that might not even be an option. So, but the course will still help. The tools, the modules, the education in there will help you massively, okay? So in terms of what those people are earning, the range is massive. So I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but obviously it does range. But what I can say is that everyone who has used this course or that I have worked with has benefited from it to the tune of a lot more than they have invested to get access to it. That's the key. Someone has asked, I'd like to have a one-on-one with you or your team. Is there a way to do that without purchasing the guide? So obviously, as you can appreciate, if we did that for all 3,000 odd people who registered, it wouldn't be feasible. I'd have to employ so many people that the business wouldn't be viable, right? Which is why we're only offering the course to the people who are getting the course, because it's showing that you've got intent and capability to actually move forward. So hopefully you can understand that. I just want to be really, really honest and open with you. There's good reasons behind what we're doing. I'm trying to find, people were just using this as a chat, so I'm trying to get through to the questions. So there's a couple of questions on cost for the full program, so I want to address that one as well. So ultimately, it depends. Obviously, it depends on you and your circumstances, what you need access to, and so on and so on. Asking what the cost is like going to a mechanic and saying, how much is it going to cost to fix my car? And don't know what car you have. They don't know what's wrong with it. They've never seen it. They don't know a service history. They don't know how old it is, how many miles it's done. Right, you can appreciate it's going to be really impossible for them to give you a price. The range of the services that we offer ranges from the course that you can see there, which is normally 1,080. So if we say 480, it could range from that up to around 8,000. Really depends on what you need, right, and the level of access you need, and so on and so forth. So just want to be really transparent about that as well. But once you've got the video course and you get on that call, they'll get to understand you and your circumstances, and they'll be able to link, you know, the issues you have, the goals that you want to achieve with the services we provide, and tell you what that would cost, what that's going to include, so that you can make an informed decision about what you want to do. I think that's the fairest way to kind of explain it and to run this thing. So Christopher, hopefully that answers your question. Let's leave what you has done as well. All right, I have a limited company. There we go. This is a good one. Jennifer, I have a limited company and I'm staying in the low tax bracket. Will this still work for me? Yes, it will. So I'm obviously a limited company owner. This is my limited company. And a lot of people come and work with me for that reason, because I can look at, again, look at things holistically from the business side as well as the personal side, to make sure that both things are optimized and that they are working together to get you to your end goal. Because there's a lot of things that limited company owners have access to that others don't, which I can help you to learn to leverage and implement, things that I've done myself and that other people are doing now as part of this process as well. So yeah, good things ahead for you, Jennifer. That's really, really good news. Right, let's go find another common question. This is an interesting one. On average, how long will it take to get debt free? There's no exact answer to that question, unfortunately. It depends, is the most common answer there. Ultimately, like I said, all I can tell you is how much faster we are enabling people to get debt free. On average, people are becoming debt free 10 years faster. That's our all-time average. The average for our 2025 results was 8 years faster. Ultimately, we're seeing people come to us with worse and worse debt situations, which is why there was that drop. But ultimately, what I can guarantee you is that you will get debt free faster than you otherwise would have by doing this process. That's really the bottom. That's how confident I am in the system, is that that's what I've seen happen every single time. And like I said, there is a guarantee when you work directly with us one-on-one, where if your results don't hit a certain level, which is in your contract, then you get your money back plus some more money from me, because I know how good this is. But to you, obviously, at this point, that's just words. So it's us taking the risk off of you and putting it onto us. Payments. So Natasha has asked about the format payment plan. Basically, if you sign up for a payment plan, if you go for 2 months, the first payment will be today. The second payment will be a month from today. If you do a 4-month plan, first payment today. Every month from today, there will be one more payment until the 4 payments are done, and then it will automatically end. If you want to settle the balance at any point, you can just email us and we can take care of that for you, and you'll save a bit of money as well. What if you don't have the money to buy it? There are payment plans available. If that's still not an option, then it might just not be possible for you. Let's just be completely open. Right. Okay, Louise said, I'm trying to buy, but there's no time slots available for the call. So if you've already bought, then that's gone through. If you're trying to book a call, just refresh the page, because more slots will be made available. Roman, can you tell me if there are still spaces on the calendar? Yeah, they've got slots. So refresh the page and it should be fine. Vivian, you sorry, I'm not laughing. That's not fair. But it says you paid twice. It just made me laugh for some reason. We'll refund the other one if we notice any duplicate payments. So yeah, if someone can get to that as well. If you have paid twice, then obviously we will refund you. Right, I'm trying to find a question to do with finances or investing or something like that that's going to help you. This is a good one. Lindsay, what platform do we invest our money into? So I think you're asking, what platform do you use to invest via? So like a brokerage account, basically, is what you're asking for. There are lots of options available. There's a few that I recommend to my students based on personal experience, plus my research of looking at the market. What's the lowest cost? What's stable and secure and kind of reliable? And ultimately, what's really user-friendly as well, because a lot of people who are coming to this obviously aren't experienced investors. So you need something straightforward that gives you the access to the things that you actually need, but not the things that you don't, and it can land you in trouble. So there are a few platforms that I recommend. I'm happy to share those with you now. So most people, I think Freetrade is the best option if you're in the UK. If you need anything more complex, such as investing via a limited company, for example, like in the other lady's case, then and Jennifer's case, I think it was, then Interactive Investor is your next best option. And if basically, when I work with each individual, I determine or help them kind of understand based on the options that are available, which one I think is best, and then kind of help you kind of give you the information so that you can make an informed decision about what you're actually going to do with your money and what platform you are going to use. And then we've got tutorials for each of the platforms that are available so that I can show you how to use each of those and have confidence in using them. Because that's a lot of the time what holds people back, is they're worried about going onto these things, clicking the wrong button, and then suddenly losing all of their money, right? It's a bit of an irrational fear, but it's also kind of an understandable one if you've never done it before. And these are the hurdles that we help people get over every single day. We're literally in the space of 10, 15 minutes. So hopefully, Lindsay, we can work with you and help you get over that as well. Siobhan has said, can we access the spreadsheets, etc.? Yep, they are part of the video course. Let's find another couple of questions. I'm going to do 2 more questions up here, and then if there are still people on the call who haven't had your questions answered yet, post them again at the bottom and I will get to those, because I'm never going to be able to find them otherwise. Oh, this is a good one, actually. I want to address this. Michael has asked, why am I not on Trustpilot? Do 2 things for me. Google how to buy fake Trustpilot reviews and look at all the services that are offered by people out there on how to fill your Trustpilot reviews with fake reviews to make you look better than you are. And then also look up and Google the sentence, do businesses try to sabotage other businesses via fake Trustpilot reviews? And you'll quickly see why it's not worth paying nearly £1,000 a month as a business to have something which is doing the opposite of what it's meant to do. It's just not run very well. When they fix those problems, I'll get Trustpilot. But for now, I do open interviews with all of my students who are happy to do them, and post them on my YouTube. And we have people who have gone through the process, which are happy to be contacted as well. So we go by word of mouth rather than Trustpilot, which is just an absolute scheme, if you ask me. Right, I'm going to do this question here. So Lindsay has said, what's the longest student you've had? Investments can lose money. So the program runs for 9 months. The investment plan and strategy we put in place for people is a lifetime strategy. So you've said there that investments can lose money. You're right, they can lose money. But if you're investing using the principles and strategies we use, actually statistically, it's almost impossible for your investment to lose money over the time frame that we are looking at. Okay, so statistically speaking, when you hit an investing time frame of 12 years, your chances of a positive return are about 98%. Right? Once you get to 15 years, they're about 99%. Once you get to 20 years, it obviously never gets to 100 because there's a statistical probability. Nothing is 100% guaranteed, right? But it's about as close to 100% as statistical probabilities allow, because we are not investing as part of this program from, say, age 35 to 60 and then taking all of your investments out as a lump sum to deplete down to 0. That's not how the 4% rule works. It's not how the system and strategy that I teach works. We are investing over a period of time, normally a decade plus, or multiple decades with most of my students. So say from today, say for 25 years, already you're at close to 100% likelihood of positive return based on the investment strategy we use. And then we are using the 4% rule. So you're taking out 4% per year. You're not depleting it. The 4% rule was built and designed to get you through a terrible first 10 years in the market at the point of retirement, and to still mean you end up with more than you started with after 30 years. So the system just works. It's based on really in-depth studies. I encourage you to go and look up the Trinity studies if you haven't done so already, because that's what the system is based on. It just works. That's kind of what there is to it. There's a lot of data behind it, obviously more than me just saying it just works, but there's a reason why it just works. And it is all covered within the Trinity studies, which is hundreds and hundreds of pages of text and data, which I've studied myself. I've probably read it about 6 times at this point. And what I've built this part of the program around. Okay, so that's, I think, just worth answering there. Cool. Let's do some questions from the bottom for the people who are still here. Great question, anonymous attendee. If you have 0% credit card debt, do we clear this or get into investing? Depends a bit on your circumstances, specifically. So let me think. So basically, it kind of depends on if that 0% interest rate is due to end soon and you don't have a plan to get it eliminated within that time frame. If you do have a plan to get it eliminated in that time frame, then potentially. But the only reason that we would start investing is that you do have a plan to get it eliminated in that time frame before it would be due to start being charged interest, and that you have free cash flow available. If you don't have free cash flow because your money is all going out on 0% credit card interest to stop you ever being charged interest, then we want to focus on just getting that gone so that it's gone faster and that you have then more to invest earlier on. So, and I'm speaking quite quickly there, but I want to go through more of these questions. So that's the key thing there. Sarah has asked me, what financial qualifications do I have? So I am not a financial advisor, and I want to make that really, really clear. In fact, it's the reason why most people come to work with me, is because I am not working within a very broken and biased system. I have I've studied the same material that financial advisors study to get their financial advisor qualifications, but I don't want to be a financial advisor, because then I am part of a system which I completely and fundamentally disagree with. The great thing is actually the coach that we have just brought on is a ex-financial advisor of 30 plus years, has owned, bought and sold multiple independent financial advisor firms, and has come on board with me because of how much he agrees with what I do and how much it aligns with his ethos around helping people with their money. He understands, having worked in the system for 30 plus years, that it is broken and that I am actually able to help people to a greater degree than a financial advisor can, because they look solely at specific elements of people's finances, and honestly, quite frankly, will only work with you if you have enough assets to take under management for it to be worth them charging their fee on. If you don't have sometimes 100, 200, 300,000 pounds in assets, they won't even give you the time of day. So there's a huge gap of a huge plethora of people who cannot even get access to the help that they need. And then if they did get the access to that help, they wouldn't actually get the holistic help that they are looking for. So hopefully that answers your question there as well. Right. So, Khalid, just to cover your question, so Sharia compliant funds are an option. So yes, I have worked with people who require to only be able to, or only allowed to invest in those compliant funds. So yes, that is something I've done. Right, let's go through 2 more. Is there a tool, anonymous person, is there a tool which helps you model whether you should overpay your mortgage or invest that? There's not a specific tool to help you model it, but it's something I can model for people based on the calculations and the tools that I have, the calculations I know and the tools that I have. But there's kind of multiple moving parts and elements to this. So it's not something you can do all in one place, unless it's a very simplistic overview. But I like to give people kind of like a detailed run through of, based on their specific circumstances, if you overpay versus if you don't overpay, what gets you to your ultimate end goal sooner? What's the potential saving versus the potential loss? Because time frame comes into it as well, at which point, obviously, shorter time frames, it's harder to predict investment returns and things like that, or at least to average them out. So it depends on a lot of elements, anonymous attendee, but it's something I do for each individual who needs it. On the purchase link, Patel, what do the three other options refer to? So there is 2Pay, 3Pay, 4Pay. So basically, option one is you pay 480 today. The 2Pay option is you're spreading it out over 2 payments. 3Pay is you're spreading it out over 3 monthly payments. 4Pay is you're spreading it out over 4 monthly payments. The longer you spread it out, the more you end up paying because of the costs associated with managing payment plans. So do bear that in mind when you are selecting an option. All right, and let's see if there's anything else. So this is a really good one. So Christopher, what basic tricks do you use to be able to help people shift debts of multiples of tens of thousands so quickly? I'd love to say that it's basic. It's simple once you know it, once you have the system in place, but it is a specifically kind of tailored and designed sequence of steps that I put each person through. I'm not trying to kind of BS you here, but basically, like I said earlier, it's about having understanding of your finances and your current circumstances first, undoing any of the mess and the waste, getting a system that is built which frees up as much cash flow as possible, and then using that information along with the debt elimination tool and planner that I have, which then automates and structures it based on the optimized information that I put in based on having that 90-minute call with you to understand these circumstances, and then following the plan that the tool gives us, which is based on your circumstances so that it's realistic and achievable and sustainable, and then just following it through. It's about just being able to see in black and white the data so that you're like, oh, this is how I need to structure it. This is how much I need to pay off of this balance and this balance and this balance every single month. And once this changes, this is what I do, and so on and so forth. So it's about having just a proven strategy and sequence of steps to follow. Ellie Hall. So how long is the program after the video content in terms of the academy with me and the cohort? So the video course obviously depends on how long it takes you to complete it. If that's what you do, that's totally down to you, obviously. If you work with me, the program is a 9-month program. The reason for that is it doesn't take 9 months. As I said, normally on average, people's roadmaps, end-to-end lifetime roadmaps, are built within 30 to 60 days. But that means, say on average, worst case, say like 2 months that it takes us to build out your lifetime end-to-end roadmap. That means you then have a good 6 to 7 months still within the program to be acting on the steps that we put in place. Because sometimes it's going to take, say, a few months to get the debt paid off, or like a month or so to get pensions moved over if that's something you wanted to do, and things like that. So there's some things that just take a bit of time that we can't control, but it means you've got that time to be doing that, to be implementing, taking the actions, putting in those requests, getting stuff moved around, paying off the debt, and hitting hurdles, coming to me and saying, oh, I've hit this hurdle, can you help me do this? Do I click this button? Do I click that button? What platform do I use? Do I do this in this order or that order based on the plan that you've built, so on and so forth, so that you are gaining the confidence and the competence you need to continue managing your plan after those 9 months forevermore by yourself, without ever the need to ever pay me or another advisor or planner ever again. So in the long run, equipping you with the plan, first of all, the tools that you need to keep your plan up to date, and the knowledge and education you need to know how to keep it up to date, so you never have to pay me or anyone else ever again. That's why I set this up, to bring down the institution. Cool. Right. I'm going to do one more question and then we're going to call it a night, because I appreciate it is very, very late. So let's go with, this is an interesting one. So does this course help? Yes. I mean, we wouldn't have sold over 1,000 copies if it didn't help. You said you have accounts with Interactive Investor and Fidelity. Will I help you work with your current investment accounts? Yeah, if you want to keep the ones you've got, that's absolutely fine. I'll always sense check them with you and show you what the costs are that you're paying versus the cost of alternatives, ultimately just to benefit you, so that if there is a lower cost alternative, I can present you with that information, and you can decide. You can then, sorry, I'm just reading messages from my team. You can then make an informed decision about whether it's the right thing for you or not. But I would never and can never say, you have to use this account and you have to invest in this fund and you have to invest via this platform. That's not what I'm about. I'm about just equipping people with the education, the information, the knowledge, and the tools they need to make the best informed financial decision, data-driven financial decisions for themselves. Okay, and with that, someone's asking, will this be available again? Probably not at this cost, unfortunately. So if you wanted to do like the 4-pay plan, so that it's obviously the lowest cost now, and then if you want to settle the balance next month, like after payday or something, then you can do that. But I highly doubt we are going to be running this at this cost again, partly because I don't think it's sustainable to do beyond this month. I just wanted to do this as a special one-off at the start of the year. So hopefully that answers that question for you. So also Daniel has said, is there an extra cost on top of the video course following the intro call if we were to work with one of you? So basically, if you were to work with us for the next month, yeah, obviously, if no one's going to be able to coach you one-on-one for 9 months to transform your financial life for £480, right? So yes, there is an additional cost to work with us one-on-one. When you're on that call, they'll run through what that looks like, what's involved in that, and so on and so forth. But essentially, you're going to get access to a coach who will work one-on-one with you, and me or my other senior coaches, who will work one-on-one with you for 9 months, building your entire lifetime roadmap with you and for you over that 9 months, so that you know exactly what you need to do for the rest of your days with your money, from your short, medium, and long-term goals. Okay, so obviously there is additional cost associated with that. As for the cost of the academy, I mentioned that earlier as well. So basically, depends on what you need, different options. Obviously, there's different kind of tiers to the service. Could range anything from the video course that you've got today up to an £8,000 coaching program. It really, really largely depends. But on the call, they'll walk you through exactly what options you have, and you can make an informed decision about what's best for you. Okay, so that answers, I think, most of the questions on there. And Andy, I assume that is all the terminology you're using. One-time offer, can't provide this cheaply ever again. This sounds like a scam. Look me up. Company is registered, Financially Savvy Limited, ID verified accounts on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X. I have to provide my passport data, scans and ID verify all of those accounts. If I was scamming people, I wouldn't last 5 minutes, and I've been doing this for 3 years as a legally registered company. So definitely not a scam, but feel free. Obviously, you believe what you wish. I'm not going to try and convince you further. Totally up to you. Connor, booking a call isn't working. Is there another way? Basically, if anyone has purchased the course and hasn't booked a call, we'll be reaching out to you to see why that was. But just refresh the page. There are slots available. It's been confirmed again now as well, and there are still slots available. So book in, just refresh the page, and you'll be able to book in once you've refreshed. Could just be an error on the page. So Lauren, the £2,000 offer that I referred to is you're getting £2,000 off the one-on-one coaching that if you do decide to move forward with that. So that answers your question. So I'm going to leave it there tonight. Sorry if I haven't got to your question. I just wanted to make sure that I went through as many as possible, but obviously we had a lot this evening. And I wanted to confront the ones that a lot of people would probably avoid as well, because I think it's really important to be transparent and open and honest about all of this stuff. So hopefully this has been valuable for you. I'm going to end it there. Have a great rest of your evening, and really looking forward to hearing how your calls go over the next few days and working with many of you over the coming days as well. Take care, guys.